This is who I was before. They say this is who I'll always be. This is who I'll always be.
I suppose we should get going.
Yeah! Let's go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to live my life as it should be. He taught me how to turn my cheek when people laugh at me. I've had friends before, and I can tell you that he's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Let's go.
Jesus
Oh, it's
is a
going.
friend of mine.
Still going.
taught me how to pray and how to save my soul.
I'm out of breath,
He
I
taught
can't.
me how to praise my God and still play rock and roll.
How you doing, man? You doing all right?
Oh,
Doing okay?
I was okay dancing for like a second.
Yeah. Here's the deal. Steve-O's selfish and is gonna get all of us sick now.
I'm still sick, guys.
Yep, he's still sick. And thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You know, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the Starmie came out in record numbers yesterday and said we will not have it.
Yeah,
We
that's weird.
cannot have the morning invasion without Steve-O.
That's,
And I was
it's
like,
weird because we were both here and nobody really even realized it
people
was
have
best stuff.
spoken,
Yeah, it's funny.
and I have to get to work.
Oh, yeah. You keep telling
I
us
brought
that.
you cool relief Ricolas to prepare you for the coming apocalypse in your chest and sinuses
That's not gonna help.
and your mind.
That is not gonna
I
help.
had like crazy dreams.
You are one sick individual.
I am.
Yeah, if you're listening, okay. If you're listening right now, you understand, you get when a coworker is sick
Yes.
and they don't stay home, how frustrating that is. But
Right.
you know what? I probably already have it
You do.
anyways, so it
I
doesn't
was
even
here on
matter.
Friday,
Yeah,
the first
exactly.
day I had the fever, and
Are you
you
thick?
know, we were totally in the studio really early in
Yeah.
the morning. It got cold when the power went out there for a minute, and we had to cuddle to keep warm.
Yep.
So
Yeah, he licked me on Friday just so I would get
you know,
sick.
I wanted him
Sick, man, sick.
It's like when you love someone so much and you experience something,
No.
you want them to experience it with you so you can like share.
No.
Okay.
No, man, no.
Yeah.
Guys, just be careful. I mean, it's turtle flu season,
I
so
I haven't
be
had
careful.
a fever since I was like 12. Had a fever of like 101, 102 for days.
yeah, I can't remember the last time I had a fever.
Right? So to a point where you have this person called your spouse,
Thanks, man.
your
That's me.
bride,
That's me.
your partner in crime.
That's right.
And the first night I'm going, I don't know.
He was shaking.
I don't
guys.
know, man.
He was sweating.
I don't think.
I had to put a cold rag on his forehead.
Yeah, I'm talking about Chrissy.
Oh.
Yeah, the one I share a bed with.
Did she put? Was she the?
No,
hold
she's
on.
the worst.
Oh, what? Hold on. Was she the sweetheart that posted on Facebook yesterday looking for pho? Was it pho or pho?
Yeah,
Is
it
it
was-
pho or
it's-
pho?
it's
pho.
pho.
Pho. Yeah,
oh,
pho.
yeah. That's why, because I was sick.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what a sweetheart. She's trying to get some soup for her honey. Yeah, what?
I ended up going with her and ordering everything, so I got everybody at that place sick.
Why did you go?
Well, because she couldn't. Yeah.
You couldn't order it over the phone and then she could pick it up?
You know when you've got that person in your life that like loves you so much, they just really want you to do everything all the time.
Oh, my gosh.
Always.
I see. I don't know if I believe that.
So I went and I ordered, and
I do believe that because you're kind of a control freak.
Okay. No, I just wanted to be in bed and nurtured and cuddled.
yeah.
I needed my mom because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, I don't know. I think, do I feel warm? And she was like, it's allergies. I had this. You're fine.
It's just allergies.
You're going to feel warm. And finally, I don't even remember, 3 o'clock in the morning, after my third dragon drug dream. You know what I mean? Like when you have a fever and all of a sudden it's like you're in this weird land with Transformers slaying dragons. Because those were the dreams I was having. Thank you, Ultra Magnus, for saving my life.
Are you thick?
Yes.
Were you taking
Tyson, I
NyQuil?
am.
What were you taking?
I hadn't taken anything.
Did you go to the doctor and
Because
get
it was
anything?
just allergies.
Oh.
And so finally, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, I went downstairs and put the old thermometer in my ear.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was like 102, and I'm like, oh, I'm sick. I'm sick. Thankfully, it's Saturday. I'm gonna rest well, and I'm gonna stay in bed. I'm gonna take care of myself because Dex needs me on Monday, and I will not miss a show.
I don't need you, man. We got tons of best stuff. We're good.
So
We're okay. Okay?
yeah,
What is the temperature for a fever? Okay?
yeah. You know,
Anything above 98.6.
you know what made me really nervous is that just a few days ago we were reporting on an airplane that landed
Oh, no.
And the people were quarantined, and it was like, that's how the zombie apocalypse happens. And next thing you know, I have a fever. I haven't had a fever since I was little Stevie Jeter.
It's already gotten back to Albuquerque.
No one's ever called me Stevie Jeter.
Stevie Jeter. Okay. He is such a baby, guys. I feel for Chrissy, man.
Yeah.
I feel bad for her.
So, guys, just
she
be
probably
prepared.
is the one who kicked you out.
It's happening.
That's why he's here today.
It's bad. I never get sick. I get
That's true. We
allergies.
both don't really ever get sick.
Yeah.
I just really thought you wanted to play
Immunities,
Spider-Man
baby.
all weekend.
I mean,
I thought you wanted a 3-day weekend playing Spider-Man.
nah, man. I only played that for like 60 hours.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you already conquer the game?
No. No, but I'm not going to lie. Guys, there's a new game in town. And it's the greatest video game in the history of ever.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
We'll talk about it coming up. I got a great story also that has to do with that game. A wedding proposal hidden in Spider-Man unravels. It's your headline. It's coming up.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this. Coming up, I'll give a review of it. I have played a pretty good amount of it. I also spent about 7 hours on the phone with Sony over the weekend.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
That was fun. Courtesy of Fortnite. Excuse me.
See, oh no.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Hey, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if Steve-O had the same problem with his Spider-Man game that I did.
Oh, how far'd you get?
Well, I opened it up, and it was full of dust.
Touche. That.
Yeah.
I commend you. That was really, really good. Well done. Well done.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
bye.
bye-bye. See you later.
You just hang up at that point. Like, that was just...
Mic drop.
Yes.
Yeah. Phone lines are open.
Hilarious.
You want to chime in, be a part of the show. 505-338-3700. Go ahead and just lock it into your phones. And you can text in as well to the live line. What's the number?
505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483. Somebody said, yay, Steve-O's back. Somebody else said, speaking of Steve-O being sick, did you guys hear about the spa in Albuquerque that possibly gave people HIV?
What?
This is real. Actually, it was in the news
Seriously?
last night.
Are you kidding me?
Not joking. Local spa here in Albuquerque. Like, could you
How's that
imagine being a
possible?
patron of the spa and you walk up and all of a sudden it's like, hey, if you have ever been to this spa,
How is that even possible?
you need to go get checked.
I
for
thought you could only
HIV
get
and hepatitis.
I thought you could only get that through a blood transfusion,
I mean,
or if you're sexually active.
no.
What?
No, I mean, yeah, but hold on. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got to find that story. I don't get it.
Spa,
Somebody like sit on a nail that was infected.
Okay. A scary warning has been issued from the State Department of Health for customers at a spa here in the ABQ. Customers who have gotten vampire facials.
Oh my gosh!
You ever heard of vampire facials?
I think I have. I think I actually have heard of that.
Yeah. The VIP spa, they've been in business since about 2013, and the Department of Health shut it down. It's on the corner of Tejares and 9th Street. On the door of the spa yesterday, there was a note that claimed a family emergency forced them to cancel appointments through the week. However, the Department of Health came forward with a much different story. Speaking of health.
Oh my gosh!
Not going to work out.
I'm gonna die.
You are. The health department and the state's cosmetology board inspected the spa Friday night, and that's when they discovered practices at the spa that could spread blood-borne infections such as HIV and hepatitis B and
Oh
C.
my gosh!
Yeah. They undertook the inspection because a client of the spa developed an infection that may have resulted from a procedure performed at the spa.
I totally forgot when you mentioned a spa that they do injections. They do all different types of stuff.
Yeah, a former VIP customer said, quote, honestly, it made me sick to my stomach right away. Everything starts coming to mind. The regrets, not knowing that you trusted someone so much. You just pretty much trust that everything's going to be fine, end quote. Yeah, a lot of people reached out to KRQE News 13 when they heard the news because they all went to said spa. And the Department of Health is urging anyone who has received what's known as a vampire facial or any other injection-related procedure at the spa to get tested as soon as possible.
Isn't that where they take your blood and then they, through micro needles, they inject it back into your face?
I'm glad you, glad you asked that question.
Gosh.
I'm Googling vampire facial. Don't do it. Oh, that's Kim Kardashian. She looks like she's a zombie.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, what people do to look so beautiful. Look at that.
Well, it's usually done in the full light of day, so don't let the name vampire fool you.
All right. Yeah.
It's a combination of a microdermabrasion followed by the application of platelet-rich plasma. It's a facial that uses your own blood to help promote healthy activity of your skin cells, basically. That's gross.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, they seriously draw blood to obtain the blood. Oh, gosh, I'm done. No, basically, why do we do this? For beauty?
I am Dracula.
Oh, Gary Oldman, you are Dracula. That's a vampire facial.
Gosh, man.
I don't understand why people do stuff like this for beauty purposes.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
So,
and it's our fault. Ladies, just blame us. It's our fault. It's the guy's fault. You
Why?
guys, because you guys are the ones that make us do these things.
No, we're not.
I've never been that guy.
No,
exactly.
No.
Don't blame me.
Yeah, no.
I'd rather not have the ladies wearing makeup. I think you guys are naturally beautiful, and I think makeup takes that away sometimes.
It does sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, depends.
Yeah.
But
I remember the first time I remember in high school, and it was the first time, like, for me personally, in my brain, I realized I'm not a fan of makeup. I was watching, of all things, SNL, and No Doubt, one of my favorite bands back then, was playing, and Gwen Stefani was literally dripping her face off because she was jumping around and being crazy under the lights, and you could see because it's the 90s, so back then there wasn't like cool HD whatever. Like it was like so thick, and I remember thinking, man, that's gross.
right, yeah.
And I was just never,
Yeah, I don't know. I get
So,
it. I understand.
don't blame me,
but
bro.
At the same time, ladies, you don't need to. You know.
All that to say, if you have ever visited VIP Spa off of Terrace and 9th Street,
yeah, you better get checked.
the Department of Health is urging you to go get checked because, their practices weren't safe and sanitary. And it's possible you could have contracted a bloodborne illness thing like HIV or Hep B or C.
Paul, you're right. Everything is our fault. It's all our fault.
Everything.
Everything.
Always.
It's very true.
Everything always.
Mm-hmm.
Always everything.
All right, we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. It's Star 88 FM. You guys can join us and watch on the September 11th, 2018. 17 years ago in 2001 at 8:46 a.m. and 9:03 a.m. That's, I believe, Eastern time. 2 hijacked planes were crashed into the World Trade Center. 2 other suicide flights crashed at the Pentagon and in the woods of Pennsylvania. Guys, a total of 2,792 people died in the World Trade Center attacks. 184 innocent people died in the Pentagon attack, including those on the plane, and 40 died in the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. And just thinking about all of the first responders, all the people that ran back in, now these people are, they have cancer now, which is so sad. Have you heard about this? Like, I think almost everybody that was involved, from the police, the firefighters, any of the first responders, they've gotten cancer because of inhaling all of the debris, and it's insane, man. And people have died since then. So, man, 17 years ago, I can't believe it's been 17 years.
17 years, man.
Yeah. So this morning, we're going to pay tribute. I got some montages for you guys.
I think it's important.
Yeah,
we talked about this off air. It's like, man, this day is always so very difficult for those of us in this generation who. Thank you.
You make me want a coffee to do that.
Just getting choked
Give me
up.
one of those Ricolas.
It's Ricola. For those of us who remember that day, I mean, vividly, right? It changed our world forever. And so this day is always very, very difficult. So looking over numbers and everything. And yeah, man, I got a question about this day coming up. Big question. Because it is 9/11. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, that's a good question. And we'll pay tribute. We got montages all morning long. Good morning, Starmy. Welcome to the show, live from the Dream Style Remodeling Star 88 Studios. Hey, if you're listening, you're going to get sick because Steve-O's still infected.
I am.
The only way you won't get sick is if you jump on YouTube or Facebook. That's the only place that you won't get sick. If you're in your car listening on the radio, then you're sick already. You're sick. All right, we got to take a quick break. Good morning, Starmy. We'll be right back.
Here's a hotspot from Skip Heitzig. What's on your mind today?
We can never separate the thought life from the outward life, the inward thoughts from the outward action. What we ponder is what we're going to practice. What we think about is what we're going to do. What we learn is what we're going to live.
Read truth. Practice truth. If not, trouble is ahead.
You'll get calloused. You'll be very good at hearing truth and immediately dismissing it, marginalizing it, not letting it penetrate. That's the danger.
Hotspot. Skip puts his finger on the pulse of the proper solution of what to do.
To meditate on Scripture means you don't just read in it, you feed on it. You ponder it. You take and emphasize a word and another word in the phrase, and you ask what it means to you, so it's really internalized.
Wherever you get your podcasts, look for Skip Heitzig.
To feed on the right things is one thing. To learn them and assimilate them, be changed by them, is another.
Hotspot.
A solar flare from Charles Spurgeon. Our anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strengths. Star 88.
On the edge of the ocean shore, we dive into the cool blue unexplored. We're living
makes it come alive in this Star PowerPoint.
The greatest opportunity for ministry that we even have today is beyond the walls of our local churches. More people participate in this ministry online as the world changes, and we have the tools in our position to make a difference in the streams and feeds where people are living their everyday lives. We're ministering to more people right now on the other side of screens than we are on this side, and the potential for what we could do together in the times we live in to represent hope, love, unity, all of the things that the gospel is, to a world that is getting darker by the day. The potential is unprecedented and unlimited. Do you want to get in the middle of it, or do you want to do what the people did and just hurry through? This is a moment for you to take a stone out of the Jordan of God's faithfulness in your life.
That's a PowerPoint on Star 88.
What's going on in the news today?
Hurricane Florence now a Category 4 storm.
Millions are now rushing to prepare.
I don't think people realize how big this storm is.
California is battling climate change. Governor Jerry Brown today signing a bill committing the state to use 100% clean energy by 2045.
The Trump administration is closing a Palestinian diplomatic office in Washington.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders announced Kim Jong-un wrote President Trump asking for a second meeting, which she says is in the works.
Olivia Newton-John, the singer, revealing she's battling cancer now for a third time. A tumor discovered at the base of her spine.
A massive gas pipeline explosion rocked a neighborhood in Pennsylvania early this morning, destroying a home, cars, garages, and power lines.
President going after the Woodward book again.
He says Bob Woodward is a liar who is like a Democratic operative.
Singer John Legend, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, and lyricist Tim Rice got an Emmy for a live TV version of Jesus Christ Superstar. Each now has an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, joining only 12 others who can say, I got an EGOT.
Officer John Perry of the 40th Precinct in the Bronx went to police headquarters the morning of September 11th to file his retirement papers. When he heard the explosion at the World Trade Center, he raced to the site. John Perry never returned. I don't think anyone would have blamed him if he had decided to stay behind that day, but he was a New York City policeman. He knew what he had to do, and he did it one last time.
I've often dreamed of a far-off place where a hero's welcome would be waiting for me.
Walking back to the firehouse,
Where the crowds would cheer.
people were cheering us, but we sure didn't feel like heroes.
Right then and there, I knew it.
In a voice
This was going to be the worst day of my life as a firefighter.
This is where I'm meant to be. I'll be there someday. I can go the distance. I will find my way. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth
Go to the Trade Center.
Can I go the distance? I'll be right where I belong.
We're going to try and do something. That was the message sent by some very American heroes with names like Sandra Bradshaw, Jeremy Glick, Mark Bingham, Todd Beamer, and Thomas Bennett. They found themselves aboard the hijacked Flight 93 that went down in Somerset County, Pennsylvania on September 11th, 2001. They witnessed the brutality on board and somehow summoned the strength to warn us and take action. United they stood and likely saved our world from an even darker day of perhaps even more unthinkable horror.
I will search the world, and I will face its arms. I don't care how far, 'cause I can go the distance till I find my hero's welcome waiting in your
I know it's early in the operation here, but I just wanted to thank everyone for all that hard work that they've been doing. How we're here, only God knows. But again, guys, thank you so much. You have no idea.
I will search world, I will face its horrors.
My father was lost in the September 11th accidents. He was a firefighter, and I love him.
Till I find my heroes welcome waiting.
Your father is a hero and a patriot.
Wow.
Hercules, am I right?
Oh my gosh.
Hercules.
Hercules. What are you talking about?
That's the Michael Bolton song from Hercules,
oh my
man.
gosh, are you kidding me? That's where your mind went? You went to Hercules? Seriously?
I was trekking right along with George
holding back.
Clooney.
I'm holding back the tears right now, and you're thinking of Hercules.
I'm just saying, bro.
Unbelievable.
Sometimes when you put those montages together, you got to think about like the impact of the song. You know, some hit, some miss. I'm just saying.
Wow.
Hercules.
Okay.
I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right, Kim?
Are you thick?
Yeah. I apologize for Steve-O. He's sick, guys. He's
I
not
am.
himself this morning.
I do not feel well.
Yeah, I was sitting here reading about. They call it a cancer cluster.
Yeah.
That is emerging in Lower Manhattan. It's victimized former school children and teachers. Doctors from the WTC Health Program have certified that these cancers were caused by exposure to the toxic dust from the World Trade Center collapse. So you have teachers, children, I mean, really anybody that was down there at that time that was exposed to this toxic dust are now, years later, they have cancer.
Yeah.
A lot of the first responders, which is so sad.
Thebes says two of his guys at his church were first responders. One has been battling cancer for a few years. The other actually went through a severe detox to purge his body of metals.
Oh.
Dude, Winnie lived in New York at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. She said you could smell the smoke all the way up to the Upper East Side. Yeah.
So far, 168 responders have had their deaths linked to the exposure. Wow. Over 1,700 firefighters have been diagnosed with the WTC-linked cancers since the attacks. 1,700.
Yeah.
So not only did we lose almost 3,000 people that morning, this morning, 17 years ago. In fact, I think, what was it? It was 8:46 a.m.
Yep.
So 6:46 here in just a few minutes. That's when the first plane hit the first building, and gosh, and then the aftermath.
And I got to tell you, there's a French-American documentary called 9/11 that, if you've never seen it, I try and watch it every year. I will say this. It does have language because these two French filmmakers, they were brothers. They were trying to capture the life of a rookie firefighter. So they had been following this kid for like months. And what's interesting is they aired this on CBS, commercial free. They've aired it a few places, and it's the only time that no one was cited for the use of the F word on national television, because they cleared it because they didn't want it edited, because they didn't want anybody to think like, hey, we're trying to like edit history. And so
isn't it the closest
does have
footage?
Language.
The closest footage.
There's
right?
only three known recordings of the first plane hitting the North Tower, because after the first plane hits, all eyes were on the tower. So there's footage all over of the second one. But this one, they were just following this crew of firefighters and this rookie, and they were on the street, and literally it's like they're in the street. I think there was a gas leak or something that they were investigating, and so they're like near this manhole, and all of a sudden like they feel the building shake, and you see the shadow because the plane flies right over them, and the camera just sweeps up, and you see it. And they go to the World Trade Center because they're firefighters, and they think like, oh my gosh, there's been an accident. A plane just flew into the World Trade Center, and they go down there. And I will say it's very heavy. Not everyone in the documentary makes it. You know what I mean? But it's very real. I mean, they're inside the tower, and you see things. But again, it's so intense. So I wouldn't recommend it for all audiences, obviously, because there's points where they're inside the tower, and you just hear these like really loud like bangs, like really, and you don't know what's happening, and it's people jumping, and it's when they're hitting, and I mean it's very eye-opening, and just sobering to think about. And so I try and watch it every year on this day, because I think that it's so important that we remember this day.
Oh yeah,
it's
especially you have young kids that they weren't around.
I have no idea. I mean, everyone this morning on Facebook, like, we've been having fun and we're joking, and then but within that, literally everyone has chimed in with where they were.
Yeah.
Like everyone remembers where they were, like what they were doing, what was going on in their life in that moment, and you don't realize like how quickly the world changed. And it should be a sobering reminder for all of us. I mean, we're not promised tomorrow. There's so many scriptures that talk about this. And so we need to be vigilant. We need to be aware. We need to remember because it's important. I think this is actually a really good question. You pulled this up and I was like, oh, dude.
Yeah, it's a good question to throw out to you guys. Should 9/11 be a federal holiday? And of course, today is the 17th anniversary of September 11th, and that's the question. And according to a new poll, 38% of people say yes, and 42% said no.
Huh.
What do you think? Do you guys think it should be a federal holiday?
I want to know.
Which means we get the day off?
Yeah.
So we can remember? Do you think, I mean, it's definitely an important day, for sure.
Yeah, but man, it's not a federal holiday. A federal holiday means schools, banks, governments are still open right now. Like, if it became a federal holiday, all of that would close. It would become, if it's a federal holiday, like, because here's the thing, November Veterans Day, that's observed. That's still not a federal holiday.
Yeah, that's true.
So you don't get the day off for Veterans Day either. And if everybody got the day off for 9/11, what would we do?
Yeah, that's a good question. People chiming in on Facebook and YouTube at Star 88 FM, and so far it looks like people are saying yes.
Because would it cheapen it? I know this sounds crazy, but think of our federal holidays now. What do we have? Labor Day?
Labor Day.
Veterans Day isn't. Memorial Day is.
Yeah.
But think about, like, the first things I think about, honestly, in my brain when I think about our federal holidays, 3-day weekend. So most people are like at the lake or partying or whatevering, and crazy sales. So imagine, if you will, it's the Macy's 9/11 sale. And I'm not trying to be crass here, but that's what would happen.
Yeah.
That's what happens. I mean, it's an American federal holiday. What else are our federal holidays?
So we have Independence Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day.
That's interesting how Veterans Day is on the list, but we don't give Veterans Day off.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Let's see. National Archives research rooms are closed or close early on the days listed below. Yeah,
so I apologize.
Maybe it depends
Veterans
on
Day
the work.
Is a federal holiday, but
maybe it depends.
Maybe.
Because I know
the reason I didn't know that it was a federal holiday is because that day in particular has been contentious this year for me. Because I was trying to get the day off, and I didn't realize I needed to take the day off because I thought it was a federal holiday and was told it was not.
I think it depends. Because I remember years ago, we had thought, Buck and I, we thought that we had Martin Luther King Jr. Day off because that's a federal holiday. And our company at the time, we didn't get the day off.
Observe if you observe it or not.
Right. Thanksgiving, Christmas Day.
So that's the other thing. Like, would you want it to become this federal holiday where everybody takes the day off? And see, somebody says, hey, we don't get the day off for Pearl Harbor. December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy.
Yeah, that's true.
We always remember it's D-Day.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we
I feel
don't.
like if we made this a federal holiday, we'd probably have to.
See, because somebody else said, why would we do this? So the terrorists can say they shut down our government every year?
Yeah, good call. Yeah, that's one of the things when they attack us, we fight back with not being fearful.
Right.
We go on with our lives, and because that's exactly what the terrorists want.
Dude, I remember Rudy Giuliani at the opening monologue for Saturday Night Live. Like, are we allowed to laugh? Because what do we do? I remember Yankee games were shut down. Like everything was shut down. And I remember Rudy Giuliani coming on Saturday Night Live because it was like, do we do a show? Like, how do we?
Right.
What do we do?
Yeah, it does. It definitely. I mean, especially. I mean, I think even 4 or 5 years after it happened, I just remember every September 11th was just such a crazy day.
Well, somebody said it's so crazy how I can't remember where I put my phone or my truck keys that I put down 5 seconds ago, but I know exactly what I was doing on this day 17 years ago. That's how much this day means to everyone.
Oh, I can still smell the coffee brewing from my parents. They were up watching the first plane. I got up out of bed and walked into the living room, and I was like, what is going on? And they're like, hey, the plane flew into the World Trade Center. And we just thought it was an accident until the second plane hit. And then we just were, oh my gosh, I'm getting chills right now because I can remember the feeling that I had.
Somebody says every year someone asks the question, should 9/11 be a federal holiday? And every year no wins the vote.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, 42% of people they polled said it shouldn't be a federal holiday, followed by 38%, and the other 20% aren't sure.
Yeah, most of the Starmies so far, at least on the live line, I'll get to YouTube and Facebook in a sec, but on the live line, most people are saying no. Joel says, I'm for making it a federal holiday. However, I'm worried that most people would just want it like that so they could get a day off. Somebody else said 9/11 seems too somber for a holiday. It would seem more appropriate to work that day, pushing forward and moving past what happened.
I think that's where I fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rochelle said, I actually don't think we should get it off because there's something sobering about driving to work and being at work and remembering those who perished in 9/11 were doing the exact same thing. Reminds you that every day is a gift.
Yeah. By the way, there is a name for this day. Every year since it's happened, the president has named September 11th as Patriot Day.
Okay. I don't think I've ever called this day Patriot Day.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Yeah. Man, yeah. So many people chiming in with where they were on the morning of September 11th. And it's a day that, we always try and sit the kids down and talk about it on this day. Like, guys, listen, the significance of this. Because, dude, as a 20-something, I'll tell you right now, I understood that we were attacked. I didn't understand the significance even of the World Trade Center. To that point in my life, I'd never been to New York. I didn't really get it. And since then, of course, today I'm wearing my Williamsburg Bridge T-shirt on purpose, just wanting to remember.
Yeah.
There's something, and of course I'm biased. Everybody knows New York's like my favorite place in the world. But there's something about being there at Ground Zero now. Every year, just going out there, and it's so, man, it's so quiet, and it's. I love that city so much, and it's crazy to think about. Like Winnie was saying, imagine like walking outside and literally every tree, every lamppost, everywhere you're walking, there are signs of people's faces, because there were still thousands of people undiscovered, whether or not they had made it, whether they were, so people were just missing, and people were frantically searching for their loved ones.
Yeah.
So
I can't even imagine.
Right. Over here, in the middle of the desert, New Mexico, it was like, and yet still that day, I remember everything was shut down, even here in New Mexico, because people were worried about Sandia Labs. They were worried about like the base. They were worried about like, it was crazy. And so a lot of the cities still shut down even here in New Mexico, because it's like, dude, we're under attack.
Oh yeah. Radio stations. I know the radio station that I was on at the time, they stopped playing music, and it was just 24/7 news updates on what was going on. Man, it was I can't believe it's been 17 years.
Yeah.
17 years, guys, since 9/11.
See, Caleb on the flip side says that at the very least, it should be officially observed. It should be a federal holiday, but not in the sense that, you know, I do think it's hard because, unfortunately, again, when we think holidays, we just think sales and 3-day weekends.
Yeah, I love what people are saying about we should just go on like it's just go on with our lives, go to work, but to remember those throughout the day. And when you get home from work, sit your kids down. I did that when my kids were young.
Yeah.
And they didn't know because my oldest, he was born in 2001. So
wow,
they weren't there.
Yeah.
They have no idea. So I would sit them down when they got older. I think Caleb was probably 5-6 years old, maybe a little older, and we watched YouTube videos of the plane crashing into the buildings, and I was trying to explain what happened, and it was I think that's important to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, somebody says, I see the good intent of making it a national holiday, federal holiday, but I think it would turn into a commercialized holiday. So I'd rather work. Let's do a good deed today in memory of those lost and or affected by this tragedy. That seems like a more reasonable action. Similarly, somebody said, national holiday? No. National Day of Remembrance? Yes. I do not think people should have it off of work. Yeah.
All right, you guys want to chime in? 505-338-3700 if you'd like to call into the show. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube at Star 88 FM, and you can text in on the live line. What's the number?
505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483.
Today is the 17th anniversary of September 11th.
On September 11th, a plane crashed into the World Trade Center, and then 21 minutes later, they fell down. I went to the tippy top once. I went to the floor underneath the tippy top once. I miss all those fun things I did there. Can't believe they would do some mean thing like that. You can always pray to God, God, do you think you can use your magic while everybody's sleepy to make the Twin Towers build itself together again? Make all the stuff like silver again? If I could talk to God, that's what I would say to him.
Man alive.
Mm-hmm. Our girl Claire out in Brooklyn says, I don't think New York would ever shut down for this day to be a holiday. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine telling everybody in New York, like, hey, guys, we're going to take this day off, and we're just going to, because that was like the antithesis of how New York responded.
Right.
Like, it was incredible.
Yeah, to see everybody come together.
Yes, dude. Like, all of a sudden, it didn't matter what side of the aisle you were on, like, nothing. I'll never forget W being down there, and oh, my gosh, like, there, I can't.
Yeah, and not just New York, but the whole country, even other countries. It was amazing to see. It had the exact opposite effect that the terrorists wanted. You know, it was incredible to see us pull together like that. And today, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm still mad at the Arizona Diamondbacks on this day, or not on this day, but on this year. Come on, man. You got to let New York win the World Series, bro.
Get out of here.
I'm just saying. The Diamondbacks. That's how you know it's not scripted and rigged, because the Yankees should have won that series. It's just got to happen. Oh, the Diamondbacks. They didn't get the memo.
He's sick today, guys. He's a little weird.
I'm just saying, bro.
All right, we got to take a quick break. Good morning, Starmy. You guys can be a part of the show. Hang out with us. Facebook, YouTube, live at Star 88 FM. Live from the Dream Style Remodeling Star 88 Studios. We'll be right back.
I I love the food at the fair.
I want to go on a roller coaster.
My wife and I had our first date at the fair.
For 80 years, the New Mexico State Fair has warmed hearts, brought families and friends together, and created lifelong memories. This year, come and celebrate everything you love about the fair.
I really like the animals in the petting zoo.
I like the pygmy goats. They're funny.
The 2018 New Mexico State Fair, September 6th through 16th.
The memories are always the best.
Love is in the fair.
Hi, it's Dex. We want you to share your star story. How has Star 88 and the morning invasion impacted your lives?
I listen to you guys like every morning. I have a toddler, and so it's one of the few things that keeps me sane, or at least laughing when I am not wanting to laugh. And I love listening to you guys. They're a lot of fun. I like that you guys, play off each other nicely, and you bring, your biblical perspective into the world. I think that's great.
We want to hear your star story. Call us now, 505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483. And share your star story.
The way we see the world is often out of focus. We may feel like we're walking blindly, lost and misaligned as we live out our lives, pursuing our earthly desires. But God is bigger than our small picture, and He brings us fresh vision and the ultimate perspective. Listen this week as Pastor James McDonald describes our blindness to the truth and the light of Christ on Walk in the Word.
Make an appointment with James McDonald, weekdays at 12:30 p.m. on our sister station, KNKT 107.1 FM. On the air and in your face.
But lovingly so.
This is Star 88 at 88.3 FM, KLYT, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and online at star88.fm.
Even when my light burns low, I could never lose my hope. I've been down this road before. Now I know which way to go. You can try to drag me down, but I'll be living in the clouds. Everybody has their doubts, but you can't stop now. You just gotta live. You just gotta live. You just gotta.
Yeah, I want it like I need to breathe. Yeah. Make it clear like I need to see. Woo. As a kid, mama told me sky's the limit till you hit it. Like in Griffith to the fences, out of there, out the park, hit and run. That's my drive. It's a vibe, been that way all my life. Yeah, I shut it down when I shine with the truth. Yeah, I ride with the crew, gave my life to the truth. Testify, walking water like the Son of Man. Understand, I'll never drown. Take a hit, never quit. Might be down, but never out. There are days that I fail, and the train's off the rail. Through the pain we prevail. Tell them you just gotta live.
Even when my light burns low, I could never lose my hope. I've been down this road before. Now I know which way to go. You can try to drag me down, but I'll be living in the clouds. Everybody has their doubts, but you can't stop now. You just gotta live. You just gotta live. You just gotta live. Even when my light burns low, I could never lose my hope. Just gotta live. Everybody has their doubts, but you can't stop now. You just gotta live.
Living till there's nothing left. Lean on. We need you like there's no one else. Ain't nobody out here more like you. And with you that broke the mold, and ain't no more like you. That's for sure. I can't drop out like the top down on the coat. Tell them watch out when I walk, I make a move. Sunday morning with my hands up, like they got the handcuffs. Searching for some answers since mama passed cancer. And my sister left Seattle with a one-way ticket home. Hope she holding Jason, teaching him to speak some more. I know, gotta keep it going. Yeah, that's all it
It's the Morning Invasion with Dex and Steve-O.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane has just hit.
I see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
It's very hot. I don't see any air anymore.
Okay.
All I see is smoke.
Okay, dear, I'm so sorry. Hold on stay calm with me, stay calm. Now, listen, the call is in, I'm documented, I'm gonna let those, hold on 1 second, please.
I'm gonna die, aren't I?
Just sit tight. All right, just sit tight. We're on the way. All right, please hurry.
We got a United 93 out here. Are you aware of that?
United 93. We've got 3 more right back there, boy.
There's a bomb on board.
A bomb on board. And this is confirmed. Do you have a mode 3, sir?
No, we lost this transponder. Negative, clear to see shoot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is horrible.
This is horrible.
Yeah, there's smoke, and we had about 100 people up here. Sit tight. Do not leave, okay? There's a fire or an explosion or something in the building.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. A terrorist attack designed to tear us apart.
Suddenly to just see this.
Those who make war against the United States have chosen their own destruction.
September 11th, 2001. It was 17 years ago. Just remembering what happened. A lot of people chiming in with stories of what they were doing. And we threw out the question, should 9/11 be a federal holiday? And it's mixed, right? It's kind of split, right? Some people are saying yes, some people are saying no.
Yeah. Most are saying no, actually.
Really?
At least on the live line on Facebook. Yeah. Observed, yes. Taking the day off, no, absolutely not. Kevin, our boy Kevin, firefighter Kevin, he was a first responder. He says it's a federal day of remembrance called Patriot Day. So we need to honor those. If you see a first responder today, make sure, firefighter, officer, man, tell them thank you for the service. That's what somebody else said. Said this is a hard day, but a happy day for me. My baby was born on this day 15 years ago.
Wow.
Husband's also a firefighter, so this day holds so many emotions.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you guys can chime in 505-338-3700. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, guys. Gosh, I think I was like 20 or 21 when this happened. I remember I was sitting at home studying for some political science test or whatever. I hadn't turned on the TV yet. I remember jumping into the car, and it was blasting all over the radio. I think I was listening to, it was TJ Trout, so I wasn't expecting anything serious coming out of those guys.
Right.
So I'm hearing it, right? I was like, these jerks are just playing like a prank like the War of the Worlds, right?
Mm.
And as I start, getting closer and closer to the campus, I was like, nah, this joke has been going on for way, way too long. And I just remember just thinking in my head, I was like, if this really did happen, if this is happening, I just remember having this crazy thought in my gut. It's like, this is a terrorist attack.
Mm.
And I just remember feeling so scared in my stomach. So I started thinking, it's like, where else are they going to go to? It just can't be that one. So I just remember, and then I got to the political science class just in time when they had all the TVs going, when the Cessna crashed right into the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, oh my God, thank you, Jesus, they didn't use a jumbo jet to take it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really, really, really rough day for sure. And I remember all the airplanes. They came, they shut down the entire skies.
Yep.
Like there was no planes in the sky for like a week.
Yeah, it was
all
crazy.
you saw was like F-15s running around.
Yeah.
Oh, that was crazy.
Crazy how
All right,
17
guys.
years
Yeah,
ago
man.
we can remember that, so clearly, we can't remember what we did yesterday, but 17 years ago on this day, it's almost perfect in our minds.
Yeah. Man, yeah, and again, most people are saying, I was off that day. Somebody said, I don't want to be off for that reason. We need to observe it. We need to remember it. Not as a holiday, no barbecues or partying or celebrations, no 3-day weekends, no sales. We just need to observe and remember. What's crazy is, people chiming in, remembering that this day and going, I remember, and the terrorist attack, and thinking, up to that point, I was pretty clueless culturally about quote unquote terrorism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what do you mean, terrorist attack? Like, what does that even mean? My stepdad called me that morning and was like, son, turn on the radio. Your world is changing forever. We're going to war and all these things. And I'm going, what? Because some crazies like put a plane in a building. Like I didn't understand the significance of it, because now, like this is why it was so significant. Now it's like, that's we talk ISIS and we talk at the time Al Qaeda and it's like it's just become part of our regular conversation and vernacular. But back then, a terrorist, I didn't get it.
Sure.
Didn't understand it.
I think I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people were like that. 505-338-3700. Good morning.
Morning. How are you guys?
Good.
Hey,
How are you?
Winnie.
Hey. I think the thing with America is that you guys always look to terrorism as happening abroad, but never in America.
Yeah.
And then when 9/11 happened, it suddenly came to your doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
Absolute sense.
But I was in New York at the time when it happened, and I remember when the first plane went in, everyone just thought, oh, it was an accident. And then we all ran outside because we were inside, and you could see the second plane circle and went into the second tower.
Yeah. I can't imagine being
It was
there.
the scariest thing. New York was like a weird place to be for that couple of weeks, because every single lamppost, every wall, everything just had posters of people looking for somebody that they couldn't find. And the hospitals were waiting for people to come in, and nobody came.
Wow.
They were just waiting for people to come to treat them, and nobody came.
Right now, I'm sure cell service was shut down, right? I think I remember that. Nobody could get through on their phones.
Yeah,
and
because my family was trying to get hold of me, and everyone kept calling my parents and saying, where's Winnie, what's happened? And my parents were really worried they couldn't get in touch with me, and I actually managed to get in touch with them later that night.
Man.
And they were like, come home. And I was like, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, Winnie.
Yeah, thank you, Winnie. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's good to hear you.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You too. Missed you guys yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Starting to feel better. Trying to.
He's not.
Oh, no.
Fake it till you make it.
But I could only catch you every now and again because I'm at work. So I literally have to just put my headphones in and catch you, then go back to work and go back.
Well,
So,
we love you, Winnie.
so listen to your podcast. I love you guys too. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. That's cool. Love her. 505-338-3700 if you'd like to chime in.
Remember the Stormy chimed in and said, can you imagine if we had the social media that we have now back in 2001?
Yeah, right.
Like we would have seen so much. We would have been haunted forever. Like
people going Facebook
checking
Live.
Checking in to let them know you're safe. So
yeah,
there's
exactly.
like the good
there's
and the
a
bad.
check-in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when other things have happened recently, you get those check-ins. When the shootings happen, a lot of people checking in. That's an amazing feature that Facebook and Instagram, all that has.
Man, we got so many things going on. People chiming in on multiple angles, whether or not like where they were. Somebody said I was 3 when this happened. I have no memories of this day. My parents have told me stories of where they were and such. But even though I have no memories of it, it still hits home for me. I am deeply affected by this.
Yeah, the person's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Wow.
Unreal.
And then the other thing we're talking about is whether or not this should be a federal holiday. And a member of the Stormy Chimer said, good morning. I think that 9/11 shouldn't be a holiday. In my opinion, it's one more reason to be grieving and sad about people who make horrible decisions. Of course, it's definitely important to remember today and how we could prevent it. But that's just my opinion. Hope you guys have an incredible day. God bless.
Yeah, seems a little split. A lot of people say yes, it should. A lot of people say no, shouldn't. We should go on with our day, and because that's kind of what the terrorists wanted. They wanted it to change our lives for the worse.
Yeah,
and
man, and speaking of, we've been talking about this throughout the entirety of the morning, and people, we've had some go, hey, not to change the subject, but one person chimed in and said, how's the new Spider-Man, Steve-O? Are you going to talk about that? We will definitely review that, as well as you had a story from that. Stina was like, can you guys just make me laugh today? So,
well, yeah, I was about ready to shut it down.
I'll tell
for
you
a
guys.
few.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll tell you guys, we promise. We want to do both. But it's one of those things like, how can you not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How can you not? These are important world events, and this day changed America forever.
Yeah.
And so every single person who chiming in has a story. Like, this is exactly where I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got more montages coming up throughout the morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to something else. I got a story on the way after Steve-O talks about his Spider-Man game, because that released, and that honestly think, guys, his whole sick thing is just fabricated.
Yes, totally fabricated.
It's a lie.
I made it up, guys.
He wanted to play Spider-Man all weekend. He wanted a 3-day weekend.
I'm a method actor, so I was like, listen, how do I get out of work for one day and
he left
ruin
early
my
right
weekend?
after the show on Friday.
Yes.
He's like, I'm dying.
I found a person at McDonald's with a fever, and I said, lick my nostrils. So, because I didn't want to fake it. I'm not a liar.
Hey, I haven't seen any proof. I never saw the thermometer.
Actually, I took photos of it.
Did you?
Yeah,
oh,
really
you know
did.
what? Anybody could get that off of Google Images.
That's true. That's true. What is it? Google Images still? If it's like my hand because I'm taking it.
I don't know, man.
I was trying to take
Photoshop.
Like a 2 a.m.
You're pretty
selfie.
good at Photoshop.
I'm so good at Photoshop.
Chrissy's. You know what? Jack Jeter is. I know that. You're like, hey, Jack, I need you to Photoshop
Just need
my
you to,
hand.
Yeah. Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 released on Friday.
Wait, it's not on Xbox?
No.
Oh,
it is an exclusive to Sony. It is an exclusive to the Sony PlayStation 4. It's the only place you can play it. It released this last Friday, and thankfully, being in bed for 3 days afforded me the opportunity to put in about 30 hours of work. Not gonna lie. Yeah. I had the Jeter boys. They were all... Excuse me.
Yeah, you had the cop in my direction. Gosh.
I don't feel well, man.
Chrissy should have tied you to the bed.
Weird. So the Jeter boys were all like, they were quarantined off of the bed, but they were all like watching because it's very cinematic. It's got an incredible story. The gameplay is unbelievable. People chiming in and asking me about it. Honestly think it's my favorite game I've played in years. There's a series that came out called Arkham, which was the Batman series, and it's essentially like, hey, let's do Arkham, but let's do it lighter in tone, and let's have it be Spider-Man instead. And so that's essentially what the new Spider-Man game is. I spent hours and hours just collecting like backpacks around the city. And here's the crazy thing. As we talk about this day, as we talk about New York, I think one of the reasons why I love this game so much is it is actually Manhattan. So, like, I'm wearing my Williamsburg Bridge t-shirt today. You can go over to the Williamsburg Bridge.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
You can walk the Brooklyn Bridge. You
Yeah.
can't get all the way to Brooklyn, but you can go to the bridge because it takes place in Manhattan, but it's an actual representation of Manhattan. So it's Central Park, and instead of the Trump Tower, it would be the Fisk Tower. So where that is actually the Kingpin's location. And so obviously they had to do stuff a little different, but Hell's Kitchen is in there. You can see where Alias Investigations are, where Jessica Jones. I mean, like, it's literally an accurate map representation of Manhattan, and it's fantastic. So huge fan. I love everything about it. So if you're a Spider-Man fan, chances are you're going to love this game.
Yeah.
So and there's so much to do, like hours and hours, and unlocking new suits and having lots of fun. So thumbs up.
Is Peter Parker? Do they make him look like?
No, he's kind of a nerdy dude. I don't like his hair. I keep going, why his hair's so bad?
So he's not Andrew Garfield.
It's not Andrew Garfield. The voice acting's pretty good. The storyline's really, really good. I told you off air. I don't know if I want to spoil it. There was a really, really rad cameo with an actual person, within Marvel that I don't want to spoil it, but it was like, whoa! So they really went above and beyond. And so any Marvel Spider-Man fan, you're gonna lose your mind over this video game. It's really
cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of this video game, this is a pretty cool but sad story. It turns out it might not be that sad. There's a happy ending.
I hope so.
So, there was a Spider-Man fan who asked to have a marriage proposal put into the new Spider-Man video game, and he got his wish. They actually decided to do this for this young man, Tyler. He tweeted out to the guys over at the studios, the guys behind the Marvel's Spider-Man video game. He said, "I need your help. This may be selfish, but I'm ready to propose to my girlfriend, and I want to do it in a big way. Is there any way you can put an Easter egg of Madison, will you marry me, anywhere in the game?"
Why would you tweet this?
Well,
like, she's not going to see the tweet.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm just
you're
saying.
right. But shortly after he tweeted, Insomniac Games Twitter account, they decided to go for it.
No way.
Yeah, they're like, okay, who are we to say no to love? So they actually put in the game. There's a part here in Manhattan at a theater, and on a billboard it says, "Maddie, will you marry me?"
That is so cool.
And there's Spider-Man just looking at the billboard. Did you see that? You didn't see it, huh?
Well, I mean, New York's a big place.
Yeah, it's a big place.
I've been traveling around Manhattan for a while, but I just,
Yeah, so here's the thing. They got word that the girl that he proposed to, she dumped him, and it's not happening anymore. Where's my music? Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh.
She dumped this guy. Poor Tyler.
It takes years to make this video game happen.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
They had to develop it and put it in there.
Yeah.
It's immortalized.
Yeah, they got word that apparently she left him for his brother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. He said the new relationship with his brother began after the breakup. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, now they decided, the gamers decided, you know what, let's take it out. Let's take it out. But they actually decided to do something a little bit cooler.
Oh, okay.
Since this guy's such a huge Spider-Man fan,
yeah,
they decided to pay tribute to his grandmother, who had passed away from cancer.
Who is this kid? This is just a random kid.
He's just a random Spider-Man fan. Yeah, they're like, this guy has such a passion for Spider-Man. You know what? Let's do something cool. So they're gonna do something for his grandmother in the game. I guess maybe switch it around or something. So you guys can look for that little Easter egg in there. But I don't know. That's terrible.
Remember the storm? He said, Madison's everywhere getting engaged.
Yeah,
I was like,
right?
yeah, no, it's for you, girl. Totally. Look at this. Come here, Maddie. Milo wants to know what my favorite Spider-Man suit in the game is. Oh, man, that's such a big question.
Oh, you can get different Spider-Man suits?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Like every other level that you unlock a different one. There's so many suits. I'm telling you, it's way too much. I'm going to be playing this game for 3 years. I'm currently using the Infinity War suit, actually. Like the Iron Spider suit.
Oh, right.
And he's got the arms.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Is it difficult to fly through the buildings with your web slingers? Is it
No,
difficult?
the mechanics of that are actually pretty fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. So it gets difficult. Like I had a mission. It's very realistic. I had a mission over in Central Park, and Spider-Man's thing is he swings through the city with these skyscrapers going, and then he's swinging through and right. So you get to Central Park, and I'm like, oh shoot,
there's no buildings.
There's no buildings. So I'm going. And then I'm like, okay. And so I'm like running through
Didn't that
Central
happen in
Park.
the movie?
Yeah, it's hilarious. And so you can like web zip places, but all of a sudden I'm like, I can't swing over here. And I'm in the middle of Central Park. So it's really weird. It's very interactive. It's very New York. Like you'll be running and there's millions of people in New York. And so it's like, imagine if there was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And so random like AI characters will just be like, Spidey! And you can like go high five them. And then there'll be others that are like, get out of here, you're a menace. Like it's really, really cool.
Yeah, that sounds
so
cool.
I absolutely love it. I can't wait
Can you imagine if they had VR for that right now? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. They made VR for the Batman version, for the Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, but I think flying through the buildings would be pretty cool.
I know. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Good morning, Starmy. Welcome to the show. Live from the Dream Style Remodeling, Star 88 Studios. Coming up, I have a story. I don't know if you guys saw this over the weekend. This woman, she thought a candle. Well, she thought the dynamite was a candle. She went to light a candle, but it turns out it was dynamite, and you don't want to miss this story. How does that happen? I thought this was a fake news story when I saw it over the weekend. Turns out it's not a fake news story. A woman went to light a candle, and it turned out it was a stick of dynamite.
Okay.
How does that happen? We'll find out when we come back. And you guys can chime in. Facebook, YouTube Live at Star 88 FM. And phone lines open 505-338-3700. We'll be right back. Hang on.
When we gather around the name of Jesus, everything changes. So come lift up the name of Jesus with us at Passion Worship Nights. Hosted by Passion and Louis Giglio with Travis Green, plus Levi Lusko and Trip Lee. Friday night, October the 5th. Powerful night of worship at Calvary Church, Albuquerque. Passion Worship Nights. A night for all ages. Friday night, October the 5th. Join Passion with Louis Giglio, Travis Green, Levi Lusko, and Trip Lee as we come together to lift up the name of Jesus. Tickets and information are at passionmusic.com. Produced by Fill the Gap Concerts.
President Abraham Lincoln said, "My concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right." Star 88 with a solar flare.
on running. Fathers, mothers, keep on loving. Fighters, soldiers, hold your weapons and lay your back on me, lay your back on me. Brothers, sisters, keep on reaching. Fathers, mothers, keep on dreaming. Fighters, soldiers, drop your weapons and lay your back on me, lay your back on me. I don't wanna be nobody else. I don't wanna be nobody else. I keep running from myself, trying to be somebody. I don't wanna be nobody else. I don't wanna be nobody else. I keep running from myself, trying to be
Exposing the enemy. Here's a Star 88 PowerPoint from Pastor Jimmy Evans.
Listen, you're under the dominion of the person whose advice you're following. And when you're walking in lies, you're under Satan's dominion. Let me say this. When you're saved by the blood of Jesus, you're going to heaven. The devil can't do anything about that. But even saved people can walk in danger. Even saved people, that's the way I was. I'll tell you more about it in just a minute. But I'm saying as a young believer, I walked in deception. So when we get saved and we commit ourselves to the truth of God's word, the battle isn't over. Really, it has just begun, because at the point of time that we commit ourselves to the truth, that's really when he becomes our adversary. Let me say this. As a young believer, sometimes it can seem as though being a Christian is harder than being an unbeliever.
That's Jimmy Evans on a PowerPoint from Star 88.
Hey, what's going on in the news today?
The southeastern United States is preparing for the arrival of Hurricane Florence.
John Bolton has threatened sanctions against judges on the International Crime Court if the court moves forward with an investigation into alleged war crimes by U.S. service members in Afghanistan.
The court has been ineffective.
The Montreal Canadiens have traded their captain. Max Pacioretty scored more than 200 goals during his career in Montreal, but he's now a member of the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Florida's Republican nominee for governor, Ron DeSantis, says he's stepping down from his seat in Congress.
A Latina mom has been picked as the first juror in the trial of a white Chicago officer accused of murdering black teen Laquan McDonald.
Survey from Common Sense Media shows that in 2012, less than half of teens owned a smartphone. Today, almost 90% of teens own one.
The United Nations is warning that the exodus of people from Venezuela could soon rival the number that have fled war-torn Syria.
A pipeline company is cleaning up more than 8,000 gallons of jet fuel that spilled into a river in northeastern Indiana. Buckeye Pipeline says it spilled in the St. Mary's River near the city of Decatur.
Hi, the captain. I would like to remain seated. One aboard and going to back to the airport and our demand, so please remain quiet. Say again. Executive 956, did you understand that transmission?
Yeah, that transmission he said was unreasonable. It sounded like someone said they have a bomb on board.
Sir, did you hear the transmission where the airplane just said he had a bomb on board? Affirmative, he said there was a bomb on board. That's what we thought. We just we didn't get it clear. That aircraft, you can't get a hold of it. He turned to the east now? He's just turned to the east also. Okay, 956, we had a visual out of this standby. Do you have a visual on him now? We did, but we lost him at the turn. If you can make a turn back to a 220 heading, let me know if you can see him. They were making a turn back American 1060, executive 956, we just lost the target on that aircraft.
Man, Z100, 852. Something weird is going on.
Yeah.
The World Trade Center is on fire.
Oh my Seriously, the top of the building. We're trying to get information.
Top level of one of the news to unfold from New York City.
A plane crashed. Just.
My sister's in that building.
Okay.
And I hope she's okay. And I gotta run to New York. Oh my God! It's complete pandemonium.
All right, first of all, calm down.
There's raining papers and ashes. And
People are jumping out the windows. Over there, they're jumping out the windows. I guess.
A second plane has now flown in the world.
At the Pentagon? A third location is on New York and outside of Washington,
I don't have words to describe what I'm witnessing right now.
Effective immediately until further notice, flight operations in the national airspace system by United States civil aircraft and foreign civil and military aircraft are prohibited.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
On itself, and it is not
just landed on Manhattan. All right, so now we look back up to the TV. One of the World Trade Towers has collapsed and fallen.
I've never seen anything like this.
I've got 5 patients. We got an ambulance full of cops and pedestrians. Another tower that just came down, 1013. All the cops away from the building. You got a female officer down. Female officer, where are you now, King? Where are you, King?
We're not going to be stopped. We're not going to be deterred. We're not going to stay at home. We're not going to be frightened. We're going to live our lives as Americans.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
We're all brothers. We all got to stick together.
One nation, under God, indivisible.
My God, look at the skyline without the towers.
Sean, it's me. I just wanted to let you know I love you, and I'm sorry there's filming. I'm waiting at the building or a bomb went off. I don't know, but there's lots of smoke, and we just wanted you to know that I love you.
Because of our God will prevail.
We will not turn. It is as old as the scriptures. We will not falter. And is as clear. And we will not fail. As the American Constitution.
Is that United 93? Is that United 93 calling? United 93, United 903. United 93.
Man, that montage just captured everything, you know? It was, oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
I wasn't ready for that, man.
That was, that
I'm
one
like, don't
was-
cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry.
That's an intense montage tribute.
17 years.
17 years ago in 2001. 8:46 a.m. and 9:03 a.m. 2 hijacked planes were crashed in the World Trade Center. 2 other suicide flights crashed at the Pentagon and in the woods of Pennsylvania. And 2,792 people died in the World Trade Center. 184 innocent people died in the Pentagon attack, and 40 people died in the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania 17 years ago. And I was just reading a story about Steve Buscemi, the actor.
Yeah.
It's an incredible story. He was a firefighter back when he was 18 years old. He signed up to be a firefighter, and I think for 4 or 5 years he was on the fire department. And when 2001 hit, he was a very well accomplished actor at that time. He actually joined back up with his crew and went in and helped his team of firefighters. He joined back up. A lot of people don't know that. Steve Buscemi, who it's kind of crazy to think that Steve Buscemi as a firefighter, right?
Yeah.
Because he's kind of always known as like the kind of quirky, weird, goofy-looking guy. He was straight up a firefighter at 18 years old.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Somebody said what you're broadcasting right now is the most powerful tribute I've ever heard. Thank you.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
So, somebody else said crying while driving. Little warning. Would have been nice, guys.
No, we don't warn you.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Man. Yeah. Allergies. Allergies wrecking a bunch of people right now.
Yeah, allergies.
Definitely allergies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is crazy. According to New York Magazine, I have some numbers. The number of firefighters and paramedics that woke up that morning to go do their job, 343 of them lost their lives.
Yeah.
343. 23 NYPD police officers, 37 Port Authority police officers, 128, that's the number of the World Trade Center companies in the towers that lost people that day. 1,402, that's the number of employees who died in Tower 1. 614 is the number of employees who died in Tower 2. The number of troops killed in Operation Enduring Freedom, 2,343. Compared to the total number killed in the attack, 2,753. The number of nations whose citizens were killed in the attacks, 115 nations.
Wow.
The ratio of men to women who died, it was 3-1. The age of the greatest number who died was between the ages of 35 and 39. Man.
It just makes me angry. You know, just hearing all these numbers just makes me so angry.
Right. There were 291 bodies found intact. There were 21,906 remains found. The number of families who got no remains of their loved ones, 1,717 families. Estimated units of blood donated to the New York Blood Center that day, 36,000 units of blood.
Wow.
Total units of blood donated, donated blood used that day, 258. Number of people who lost a spouse in the attack, 1,609. Estimated number of children who lost a parent that day, 3,051 children.
Jeez.
I can't.
Yeah, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
It's insane. We were talking earlier about the responders, the people that went in after the buildings collapsed, and a lot of them, thousands have died of cancer, and there's currently so many that have cancer because of the toxins that were in the air at the time.
The fires raged on for 99 more days.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Down at ground zero, 99 days.
Yep.
Over 3 months, the fires continued. The number of funerals that Rudy Giuliani attended in 2001, over 200.
Jeez.
Like, you're just looking at the numbers. Yeah. 146,100 jobs were lost that day in New York due to the attacks. The New York Stock Exchange was closed for 6 days. It took 26 days, speaking of numbers, 26 days after 9/11 was how many days it took for the U.S. to begin bombing Afghanistan.
Yeah, this is such a good reminder. You reading off these numbers, I think we forget. You know, I think almost every year. I don't think we did this last year where we read off the numbers, but because it's been a while since I've heard. But
yeah,
you know, a lot of people are texting in or wanted us to be funny. But this is a day where I think in 20 more years, I want to be doing the exact same thing. I want to be remembering. I want to be playing tributes. I want to be recapping the numbers of people that lost their lives because we have to remember.
Here's something very interesting. And from 2001 to 2002, the percentage increase in CIA applications, 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, so many people signed up.
So many people signed up for that. So many people signed up to join the military. Law school applications rose almost 20%.
Wow.
People just, it's really interesting when you start looking at the numbers. The estimated amount of insurance paid worldwide related to 9/11 was $40 billion.
Wow.
The total amount of FEMA money spent on the emergency was $970 million, and the estimated amount donated to 9/11 charities was $1.4 billion. How about this? Speaking of numbers, nothing comes close to this one as far as money. The economic loss to New York in the month of September following the attacks, $105 billion was lost. $105 billion.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Insane.
So.
Yeah, it's a day. Like we said, if you have young kids, sit them down and, there's a few good movies that have come out over the years that, might make them understand it a little bit better if they watch a movie or if they pull up some YouTube videos and, talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about, teach them about, these are religious fanatics. These are people that believe that we're the great Satan. They believe that by causing devastation, that's going to somehow bring back their Messiah. Their theology is insane.
Well,
and it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Wanting to hurt somebody, I've never been able to comprehend that.
Right.
Wanting to kill another person, wanting to cause destruction and devastation, and that I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense.
Remember, the Stormy Chum said, I just re-enlisted in the military after much debate. This conversation makes me realize it was absolutely the right choice. Thank you guys for what you do. No,
hey,
dude,
man,
thank you for
kidding
what
me?
you do.
You kidding me, man? Thank you.
Somebody else said, what makes me angry is that people have forgotten. They've forgotten what it felt like that day. They are too busy fighting about who is right and who is wrong, who should kneel, who should stand. We're all Americans, dang it. Why can't we just stop fighting? I will never forget what it was like in our country post 9/11. Every single driveway, every garage had an American flag flying. And for, I don't know, it was probably just months, but it felt like a couple years, man. It just felt like we were united in something. And it was like, man, terrorism will not win.
Yeah.
And
look at where we're at now.
Yeah,
how stupid do you feel? It just is so ridiculous where we're at as a country and how we fight on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And it's, oh my gosh.
Lillian says, thanks for talking about it. This is important to remember. Mark says, we must honor the people who lost their lives. We must remember the people who lost loved ones. I still pray for those families.
Yeah.
And I think it's true because on this day, before the show even started, I looked at Dexter and it was like, dude, I don't wanna, because every year we do this. Every year we pay tribute in different ways. We play montages. We talk about where we were and we talk about where we've been and where we are now as a nation. And every year it's hard, but every year it's so vitally important because sadly, like members of the Stormy are saying, people have forgotten. We forgot what it was like. Or if you're of the younger generation and you just didn't know what that felt like at the time, like it was world changing. It changed American history forever. Like we've completely changed.
Oh yeah.
And there for a moment it was very united. Man, and then instantaneously it just right back to yeah. Jay Marie says, this day has to be the most widespread life change in our history. The music became angry. Faith in God took a blow. Politics took an about face. The initial response was gung-ho, but over the years, we've slowly let go of what our country was founded on. Maybe this life event caused a generation to baby their offspring, and as adult, they're struggling to cope. That's an interesting take. This like generation that like we were talking lawnmower parenting and not wanting our children to like Lawnmower parents are those that just don't let their kids face adversity. They like mow down every obstacle in front of them because they just don't want them to have to deal with pain or suffering.
Sure.
And it was like the story was as simple as a kid wanting to not have to drink from the water fountain, so the mom brought him a bottled water. I know parents like that literally shelter their kids so much that it's like they won't ever let any harm come to them, but then they find their kids at 20 not understanding how to problem solve for themselves.
Well, think about our grandparents, Our grandparents, they wanted to work. They wanted to work. Why? So that their children didn't have to work, And that's kind of crazy. It's a beautiful thing, but when you really look at that picture, it does more harm than good.
Yeah.
Because we need to be able to get out on our own. And having our grandparents, our great-grandparents working so hard to make sure we don't have to struggle, that's not the way it should be. Struggle is what makes us great. Struggle, that pressure is what creates diamonds.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man, because we love our kids. We want the best for them, but at the same time, it's hard to allow them to go through struggles or to put them in harm's way.
Yeah.
But we have to.
Looper says, about 3 years ago, we were coming back from our time in Ireland. We stopped in New York for a few days. At the memorial, I freaked the kids out because they'd never seen me cry like that before. I was trying to explain to them what happened and just lost it. I'm right back there right now trying to remind them so that they, like me, will never forget. Somebody said my dad and I were talking about 9/11. He was out hunting with my brother with no cell phone coverage when 9/11 happened. And this past Sunday, we went elk hunting. Before we left camp, we were on the same mountain my dad was elk hunting on. We said a prayer for those families and for our country. We talked to my son, who was 10, about 9/11. And today my son said, Mom, we should pray for those people again.
Yeah.
Somebody else said a powerful moment that I'll always remember is seeing a former president, George Bush, come out, and throw the first pitch of the World Series between Arizona and the New York Yankees. I will never forget that moment. Love him or hate him, because I remember politics at the time, and people hammered W. But man alive, I'll never forget him standing at ground zero and speaking out, and he had the bullhorn, remember, and talking to the people, and it was like he united this nation in a way that, for me personally, I had not ever seen, and it was such a powerful thing. And right or left, talking heads or not, I'll never forget that man, and especially him throwing out the first pitch, because baseball was so very, very important, and still is to me. That's one of my favorite moments in all of baseball, was George W. Bush throwing out that pitch. Somebody said, I attended the balloon fiesta that year, and most every balloon had flags hanging on them.
Sure.
Somebody else said, everyone's car had a flag. I stopped by my grandparents' house on my way to college classes to grab a flag and strap it to my car. Somebody else said, remember, United We Stand? Like, that was everybody's slogan outside of the house.
Sure.
Like, we wouldn't be divided. And 17 years later, as we talk about it, it's very tragic. As this morning before the show started, we're looking at the Colbert Show. We're looking at all these different things. And in the news, it's awful how divided we have become.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking about, the men and women that sacrificed their lives, that joined up. That came home with PTSD, that are currently dealing with medical issues, or just, PTSD is so insane. And I have close loved ones that have dealt with it, that are currently dealing with it, and families are broken apart through divorce, or, and it's, I just think about that sacrifice, that's an insane sacrifice, that men and women will put themselves in that situation for us.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much.
Mark chimed in and said, when I helped with Ground Zero, I was numb. I had bad dreams. Up to this day, I wasn't allowed to talk about it. Some things as a Ground Zero helper, I'm still not allowed to talk about, but some things I can. I was asked to write something, and I will, for the 9/11 memorial, so that the people will not be forgotten. I think it did bring us together as Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. That would completely change a person.
Yeah. Man, like I said, I mean, we all know exactly where we were, and no matter what we were doing or what we were involved in, it did change us. That was the first time I think I really took a real look at my mortality. And that really was a day for a lot of people I know that drew them to a relationship with Jesus Christ. I know it was when I began searching, because I began realizing man, I'm going to die someday. And it might not be of my own stupidity or crazy, or it was always just, you just don't think about it. It's just, sure, it'll happen someday, but...
Yeah, we all have the dream of growing old and dying in our bed.
And then all of a sudden you're thinking about these people that were jumping on an airplane, that were planning trips or vacations, or they were going back home or whatever it was, and the next thing you know, they're flying into a building. And I remember the voicemails and calling them calling loved ones and trying to tell them what was going on, and it was like, well, what is that? If this was it for me, if today were the last day on earth, like, what am I looking at? Am I going to be proud of what I'm doing?
Right.
Like, where am I? And who is this Jesus dude? I better start taking a look at this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it changed so many lives, man.
Somebody said nowadays people get offended for hanging the American flag. It's unreal where we've come as a nation.
Really.
Man.
All right, we got to take a break. Thanks for chiming in, Starmy. Yeah, I don't even want to do. I was going to do a story about some stupid lady who lit a candle and it turned out to be dynamite, but it just doesn't seem right.
Check this out. Mark in Tempe says, I still struggle with today because one of the hijackers, Hani Hanhur, was in my flight school.
Oh my gosh.
In 2001.
You kidding me?
I had trust issues after that for several years.
Oh my gosh.
I now am able to consider the importance of being a light because you never know who you're going to meet or talk to.
You never know. All right, we're live on Facebook, hanging out on YouTube Live at Star 88 FM. You guys can chime in. Phone lines are open when we come back. 505-338-3700. Live from the Dream Style Remodeling Star 88 Studios. Hang out with us.
For over 40 years, La Salita Restaurant has been serving New Mexican food to Albuquerque. From starters like soups, salads, and Cindy nachos to entrees like chili rellenos, burrito de Eduardo, the BOG burrito, and carne adobada. La Salita is friendly to those who are vegan or gluten-free and offers catering, as well as a rewards program at 1950 Wansabo or online at lasalita.com. Star 88 thanks La Salita for their support.
I love the food at the fair. I want to go on a roller coaster.
My wife and I had our first date at the fair.
For 80 years, the New Mexico State Fair has warmed hearts, brought families and friends together, and created lifelong memories. This year, come and celebrate everything you love about the fair.
I really like the animals in the petting zoo. I like the pygmy goats. They're funny.
The 2018 New Mexico State Fair, September 6th through 16th.
The memories are always the best.
Love is in the fair.
Whether at home or in the workplace, we're all leaders. Become a better leader in this leadership moment with Craig Rochelle.
In leadership, the more you succeed or the higher you rise, the more visible you become, the more critics you'll have. You may say, well, I really want to have great influence. I want to be really successful. I hope that you do have influence and I hope that you do become successful, but you need to understand with that always comes more critics, and there will be more of them than you can imagine, and the criticism will be annoying, and it may be even sillier than you can imagine, but it's going to be there. In Australia and New Zealand, they have something called the tall poppy syndrome, and that is the tendency to cut down people who have risen above, those who become more successful or more popular. They just chop them down. Someone said this, the tallest trees endure the harshest winds.
That was Craig Rochelle on a Star 88 Leadership Moment. Hear more at life.church/leadership podcast. This is Star 88 at 88.3 FM, KLYT, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and online at star88.fm.
You, I saw the truth. Just one look at you, and I crashed into mad love. Washed up, young blood. Washed up. Do what you want, I'll pull my plug. you want, louder than any sound. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Be what you want, if it makes you happy. Go where you want, I'll turn the ship around. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Lost in love, washed up together. Lost in love, washed up together. Castaways overboard, tidal waves coming for us. Young blood, washed up, mad love, washed up. Do what you want, I'll pull my punches. Say what you want, louder than any sound. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Be what you want, if it makes you happy. Go where you want, I'll turn the ship around. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Lost in love, washed up together. Lost in love, washed up together. I wanna go off the map with you, drift away with you. I wanna go off the map with you. I wanna get lost, we're gonna get lost. We'll be washed up. Do what you want, I'll pull my punches. Say what you want, louder than any sound. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Be what you want, if it makes you happy. Go where you want, I'll turn the ship around. Feel what you feel, I'll do no better than you. Lost in love, washed up together. Lost in love, washed up together.
The Morning Invasion with Dex and Steve-O on Star 88.
On September 11th, 2001,
Planes crashed into Alpha 4 of the World Trade Center.
Our very freedom came under attack.
We're trying to recoup. We lost all units here at this area.
Today, we pause to remember a day that tested our country.
Tower 2 has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse.
There's no possible way to begin to describe it.
Nearly 3,000 lives were lost in the deadliest attack on American soil in our history.
This is a moment to pause and reflect, to heal, and to rededicate ourselves to the American spirit
May God bless the victims, their families, and America.
of one nation indivisible.
Good morning, Stormy. Welcome to the show, September 11th. Welcome to it. Thanks for chiming in. Live on Facebook, YouTube, at Star 88 FM. And you guys can chime in, be a part of the show. Give us a call, 505-338-3700. And what's the live line number to text in?
505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483.
Text us.
Yeah.
Share moments what you guys remember from that day back in 2001. Just shouting out all the first responders, all the people that sacrificed their lives. Just scrolling through my Facebook newsfeed during the break and seeing all these incredible stories of men and women that they weren't fearful when the attack happened. They ran towards those buildings.
Man, what's crazy? A member of the Starmy chimed in and said, you guys had me ugly crying this morning on the way to work. I swore into the military 4 days before 9/11 when I was 18 years old. In a single moment, my entire adult life changed. All the plans I had for the things I wanted to do in the military were diverted because of the stop loss we had at the time. My entire career had been shaped by war. I've had the honor of flying on September 11th in defense of our borders and serving in so many capacities that I never thought myself ever doing. My husband, who's also active duty, and I have lost so many friends, but we don't for 1 second doubt or regret our service. We're proud of the things we've done. We have young children that we hope to pass this value on to as well. And the scariest part, and I think what's making me so emotional today, is knowing that in less than 20 years later, it feels like the terrorists won. I sincerely fear what the world will be for my children by the time they are my age and what our country will be. 9/11 is our Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you to you
thanks for
and your
chiming
husband.
in. Thank you so much for your
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Incredible story. And that's the thing we were just talking about is it usually always takes something tragic to bring us together, which is it's sad that it has to be that way. Because we are at a different spot right now as a country. If you are on Facebook, if you're on any sort of social network, you just kind of scroll through your feed and you go, gosh, man, where are we?
Yeah.
We're complaining about this.
Happened?
What is going on?
Yeah.
We're not united. That's for sure.
Yeah, a member of the Army said, thank you for recalling the events of 9/11. I was only a few months old when it happened, and every story I hear about is a treasure. Thank you.
Think about, during the time, I know that so many people signed up right after 9/11, but then how many years did it take for that to slow down? Because I remember there was a time where they were having a hard time recruiting. Heck, they might still be having a hard time recruiting.
Yeah.
Trying to get people to sign up into the military is probably a pretty difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And
especially where we're at as a nation now.
Yeah, exactly.
From where we were to where we are.
Exactly. And I just think about my kids, my oldest, he was just born. Actually, he wasn't even born yet. Because he was born on, he was born. Because he was, no, he wasn't born.
Oh, my gosh.
October 2nd was, so he wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
And now he's almost 17 years old. He's going to be 17 here in October. And, oh, man, it's just insane. And I just think about what's going to inspire them? What inspires them to want to serve our country? What is it going to take for them to want to sacrifice their lives, And it takes such an amazing individual to do that.
Yeah.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I have kind of a crazy story. I don't know if you guys remember, right after September 11th, Calvary started selling these Mercy bands.
Yep. A friend just sent me his Mercy band that he is still wearing to this day. So
yeah, totally. So this is a crazy story. So we always went to the 11:15 service with my family. I've been going there forever. And my dad had been doing some work with the World Trade Center after the bombing in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And he did some security stuff. And so immediately after September 11th happened, he called all of the contacts that he had just to make sure if everybody that he had worked with and he knew got out. And everybody said, yes, everybody from the team is all safe, that kind of thing. So, of course, it still affected all of us, but he thought that everybody that he ever had contact with was still alive and safe. So time passes, we all decide, or not all of us actually, my mom, my sister, and I decide to get Mercy bands, and we didn't know anybody specifically that was a first responder, so we just decided to get a random one, which was an option. You could
So for those, let me update let me tell the Starmy who doesn't know. Mercy bands were these metal bracelets that had the name of whether it was like a New York firefighter, NYPD, someone that lost their lives on 9/11. It had a name of the person, and it was this. I mean, not just in remembrance, but it was like this human being. Right, lost their life. The proceeds, I believe, benefited. I can't remember if it was Samaritan's Purse. It was one of them, but
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just a way to honor those that lost their lives on 9/11. Go ahead. Sorry.
Totally. So the point was, you would be wearing this Mercy band, praying for the family,
right?
Just kind of give you a specific connection to somebody. And so anyway, it took a while for them to get made, and then finally, it was the day where you would pick them up before service, the ones that you got. So we went out, got them in the foyer one day. We go and sit down, and again, it was just me, my sister, and my mom got one. And my dad looks over at my mom's, and she has it on her wrist, and she shows him, and he just silently takes it off her wrist and puts it on his. And my mom's like, what are you doing? I thought you didn't want one. And he goes, I'll tell you later. And after church, he goes, this is the one guy that I knew. This is who I thought was safe.
Wow.
And so he ended up, obviously my mom went and bought another one. But that was just like it was incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
That out of all 3,000 to get that mercy band, my mom would have it, show it to him, and he was just like, nope, this one's obviously for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy story.
Yeah, no kidding.
No, that's consider. I mean, we talked about the fact that there were 2,753 people killed in the attacks on 9/11.
Yeah.
And to get the one bracelet with the one name of the friend, like
Right.
that is
that's crazy.
wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Gosh,
hey, thanks
what
for
a
sharing
story.
that, man.
Yeah.
You bet. You guys have a good one.
You too.
Hey, if you guys want to share any stories, 505-338-3700, you can call us.
Carl says to never forget remembers those lives that were taken. It also reminds us that the hatred toward the United States and our beliefs has not subsided. It's a call to remain vigilant and ready. And I agree with that too.
Yeah.
We need to remember that. I mean, I remember how united we were, and it was like, no one will tear us down. And now we're tearing ourselves down.
Mhm.
It's crazy to me where we're at
versus
where we are, especially on this day, remembering where we were as a nation then. And it wasn't perfect.
Right.
It wasn't perfect
Sure.
by any stretch of the imagination, but I think the civility has kind of lost its way in conversation and dialogue. And
think about I mean, this is the way humanity's been from the time sin entered the world.
Right.
You know, you look at the Israelites, you know, in the desert, just complaining and complaining. And but God is like leading them, giving them food from heaven.
Yeah.
You know, making sure that they're taken care of, and all they're doing is griping and complaining.
And wishing they were slaves.
Exactly.
Like wishing they could go back because
it's insane.
At least then they had 3 square meals a day, and now we're just getting this weird bread stuff from heaven. This is true.
Yeah, that's the way we are.
Unbelievable.
Because we hear that story and we go, man, those disgusting. But we're the exact same way. Look at our lives. Look at the things we stress about. Look at the things in our lives for a quick second that they're just so ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. Joanne says, I remember after hearing all of the tragedy of the day, I got home and received the only good news of the day, which was that my nephew was born that day. I always wish him a happy birthday and remind him of the blessing that he still is.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead.
Hey, Steve-O.
Yes.
It's Monica.
Hey, Mon.
Hey.
Hey, Dex is here
Dex
too.
is here too.
Monica, you work here.
On the radio.
We're both here.
She's our community relations extraordinaire expert.
We're both here.
Yeah, both here. You're calling the show live.
Yeah, go ahead, Monica.
I am. I'm calling you about the Mercy Band. I had the same, almost exact story as that guy.
Really?
Yes, I got the bracelet and I put it on, and it was for the. Oh, I'm going to start crying. It was from the Pennsylvania flight, and my sister-in-law's sister was a flight attendant on that plane.
Oh.
And she was supposed to fly that night, and or the next morning, and they decided to keep her behind, and that was part of her crew that died.
Oh my gosh.
And Lorraine Bay was one of her best friends.
Jeez. Wow. That's crazy.
So, and I got the bracelet. and I showed it to her, and it was terrible. It was just so sad that that was one of her best friends.
Wow. Yeah, what are the chances of that happening?
See, right? Wow. Thank you for the
Thanks,
story.
Monica.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 505-338-3700. Go ahead. Turn that radio down if you're calling in. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Hi there. I was just calling just to let you guys know that, I think it's great what our first responders do, and we just must not forget all the things that they do for us. And I wanted to let you know also that my church also gives thermal cams every year to a lot of our local churches here, and actually our local fire departments here in Albuquerque and Edgewood and Rio Rancho. And so we do that in honor of all of the first responders. And, I just wanted to give everybody a shout out and say thank you for what they do in their service and everything that they provide for our community.
That's cool.
Thank you so much for that reminder.
Awesome.
Great call. All right.
Awesome. You guys have a good day.
You
Take care.
too. A member of the Stormy chimed in and said, my 2 older children, one is 24, one is 20, both took an oath to protect this country because they believe it's worth fighting for. The hardest thing as a parent is not being able to protect your children when they're on foreign ground in places that want nothing more than to harm us and destroy us. It takes a lot of courage as a young individual to make that decision, knowing you're putting yourself in harm's way, knowing this evil is out there and are willing to do this on our own soil. United is the only way we will defeat this. I asked all those Americans that are out there to continue to pray for our soldiers because they are willing to do what a majority of us today, or what a majority of today's youth will not do.
Well, think about it. 24 and 20, so they were 4 and 7 years old, 3 and 7 years old when September 11th happened.
Yeah.
So those are young kids, man. And at that age, they didn't know what was really going on, you know? But here they are signing up because they want to make a difference, you know? Good on you, parents. Hey, go ahead. Hey, go ahead. You're on. Hey, caller, go ahead. You're on the air. All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much. Somebody butt dialed us.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead.
Hey, guys, this is Nick. What are you doing?
Hi, Nick. What are you doing?
She's going to shout out to her husband.
Her hot firefighter husband?
Because he's the hottest
Actually,
firefighter
I was a little
husband.
weepy this morning.
Well, yeah.
Sending him off to work. I was a little choked up.
I bet. Yeah.
This day is always kind of weird, sending him off to work this day.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it happened, my brother and my nephew, my brother was serving. He's retired now, and my nephew's still serving. And I come from a first responder family. My dad was a cop, and my brother's a retired cop, and my little brother's a cop. So this day's always just a little weird.
I bet, yeah.
A little off for me.
But love the Wiggins family, man, and all of the man, just daily sacrifices made to serve. Yeah, for real. So
they are.
It's incredible.
I bet you. I bet you, Dave was fired up to go to work today. I was just thinking, man. I think this would be a pretty cool thing.
He and his crew. He's on engine 15, and they are actually doing the climb today at the Hyatt, where the firefighters put on their gear and climb 110 stories.
Nice. That's cool.
In honor and memory of the firefighters that day.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. He's the best.
He is pretty cool. I love him too.
I do too.
Oh,
no one loves him more than Brody, though. So I just want to make that clear.
That's the freaking sweetest thing ever.
Every time Brody sees any firefighter,
about that for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's his friend. So he's always like, "It's my friend." No matter what fire truck it is, like that's his friend. So there you go.
The sweetest.
Oh man.
All
Love
right.
you.
Well,
All right.
you guys have a good day.
You too.
Love you, Nicole. Goodbye.
Love you too.
Good old Nick.
Bye.
Just for everyone in the Albuquerque area, there, of course, is the 9/11 memorial ceremony held for the public to attend. It honors all the victims and survivors affected by the attacks on September 11, 2001. It's happening at the Civic Plaza. I recommend getting there early. One website says 11:30, one website says noon. So again, I get there early. It goes until about 1:30. It's free. It's a public event. All are welcome to attend as Albuquerque honors those whose lives were affected that day. State, city dignitaries, public safety leaders from the community. Never forget. I mean, that is the tag, that is the theme, that has been the banner that has flown ever since that day, and that is exactly what they will do today and demonstrate resilience and unity and vowing to never forget. So, again, 11:30ish at the Civic Plaza. City of Albuquerque's website says noon, but go with 11:30 and get there early. So, yeah. Somebody says, you guys have me thinking about veterans. I'm sad about all of the stories we hear about those who don't get proper care when they leave the military after serving this great nation. It's true. Somebody says, my 18-year-old daughter has since said when she was 6 years old, she wanted to join the Navy and serve the country. Last Tuesday, she left for boot camp. She started her first full week yesterday of boot camp in the United States Navy. I am so proud of her. May God watch over our servicemen and women. Another member of the Army says, I'm wearing my Mercy Band. I watched the movie 9/11, and the man on my bracelet was a main character portrayed in the film. Wow. It was heartbreaking to watch. I'll always remember to pray for his family and all of the families that have lost a loved one. Somebody said, I was sitting in my freshman history class when it all happened. The principal came over the intercom and told us what had happened and that we could turn our TVs on, but not to have it take away from our classwork. My history teacher said this day will go down in the history books as we were watching this.
Wow.
Man.
Thanks for chiming in, you guys. You guys can give us a call. Phone lines are open at 505-338-3700.
It's really cool to hear everyone's stories, not only of where they were, but even some of the happy things that happened. Like Joanne, it was this tragic day, and yet a nephew was born this day, and then people discovering like their loved one was safe in New York. I know for me that day, I had to work. I was at the airport when it happened. It was a crazy situation. I was dropping off at the time my girlfriend. Her mom was going overseas, and I was trying to drop her off at the airport. I got to the curbside. I was rushed by security. I had no idea what was going on. It was like, have you taken anything out of your car? And I'm like, no. And I started to open my door, and they like slammed my door closed and for me to like get the heck out of there, and not so kind of words. And I remember driving off going, I don't know what's happening. She's supposed to get on her flight. Like, what's going on?
She's not getting on her flight.
No. And then my stepdad called to tell me to turn the radio on, that my world was about to change. So I remember working that day, and the TV was on at GameStop where I was managing, and it was this really somber day. And I remember God tugging at me at that time, and me not realizing what was going to happen that day, because on that day, this random human being walked in. It was like a barren wasteland. Nobody was out. So this one person walks in, and I start talking to him. We spent about 30 minutes just talking, and he was a really good dude. And he wanted to put in an application, and he ended up putting in an application that day. And that human being on 9/11 on that day was the human being that God used to then draw me back into a relationship with Jesus Christ. His name's Jake Pointer, and he's one of my favorite human beings. And I'll never forget that it was on this day that I met him, because shortly thereafter, he started asking me about Jesus and who Jesus was to me. And I had tattoos back then, and it wasn't cool like it is now. I wasn't really welcome in church a lot. I smoked. I had a pretty rough life at the time, and he just never gave up. And it was a relationship that started on this day because we were both just flabbergasted, for lack of a better word, over what was happening to our nation. And yet that he was the dude that kept persisting and saying, dude, you have value. You should come to church with me. And I finally did. And he was the human catalyst that like drew me into a relationship with Jesus Christ. So it's incredible. So on this day, I'm like, I think of the tragic, but I also think of the fact that God used something so incredibly powerful to draw me into a relationship with him.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
we need
really
to think
cool.
about. We all need to reflect. We all need to think about it. It is important that we never forget. So
505-338-3700 if you'd like to call in. Hey, good morning. Thanks for holding.
Hi. Good morning. This is Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
What's up?
Hi. Good. I just wanted to call in, and today's my birthday, but I remember where I was on 9/11 back when it happened. I was in my apartment, and I woke up to see the news, and I saw a man falling out of a window, and that was, he was trying to save himself from the flames by falling out of a window, and it was so sad to see because of someone else's selfish decision to commit a terrorist attack on innocent people. I thought that was very sad, and I think the best way that we can help is by getting involved in whatever way that we can, whether it's through school or other avenues to help encourage kids and other people who really don't know that our lives impact the future. And
so I got a question, Amanda. First of all, happy birthday. I know it's a somber day, but this has been your birthday your whole life. So since 2001, how has it changed for you personally? And what do you like? Do you do things differently on your birthday, or how do you celebrate your birthday on this day?
I celebrate my birthday with family. Like on that day when it happened, I was living alone in Rio Rancho, and my family brought me a pie from a friend. And I mean, it definitely has changed my birthday, because I always reflect on what I saw on the TV screen that day. And I can honestly say it'll never be the same, because I feel sadness
and empathy for those people who suffered and lost their loved ones, you know, because of someone else's choice to commit that against them. And I'm glad that people participate today by hanging a flag or doing whatever to remember and not forget that, you know, that we are that the United States does have enemies because of their Christian beliefs and because of you know, our friendship with Israel. But if we stand by God and we're faithful to Him, God always comes through, and He is faithful, and He will, and He's the way, the truth, and the life. And by picking Him or choosing to live our lives for Him, we won't ever go wrong, and He will help us to defeat our enemy as long as we remain faithful to Him.
Well, happy birthday, Amanda, you know, and I hope you have an amazing day.
Words.
Those are beautiful words. And, you know, I'm sitting here just thinking about, you know, the men and women, the people, anybody that was involved that day that they were selfless, you know, and I'm looking at where we're at as a country now when we're very selfish, you know, and today could be a day where we are selfless. We find those opportunities to be selfless and to help somebody, whatever it is, or just to love on somebody or to smile or hug somebody. And there's so many different ways that we can be selfless today, but I think that's a good reminder, a way to, you know, to pay respect or to honor those that have fallen, that gave that ultimate sacrifice. So happy birthday, Amanda.
Thank you. It was such a great joy this day to talk to you guys on the phone. And you guys are awesome. And
thank you.
It's always good to listen to you guys in the morning. You're always got something fresh, and I love your different music that you guys play.
Cool. Thank you, Amanda.
Same.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye, Amanda. That's cool. Yeah, it's September 11th, 2018, 17 years ago. Our lives changed. Thanks for chiming in, everybody, with stories, honoring so many different people out there. We got more tributes on the way. And we're live on Facebook and YouTube at Star 88 FM. And, of course, we love when you call. Share your story. It's 505-338-3700. And they can text in as well. What's that number to the live line?
505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483.
All right, more stories to share when we come back live from the Dreamstyle Remodeling Star 88 Studios. Hang out.
In a sizzling hotspot, Skip Heitzig points out that at the end of this life, you will be forwarded to a new location.
Your eventual address is in heaven. Why do I bring this up? Because this helps answer why we as believers get so excited and preoccupied with heaven.
Eternity is more than a place or a future event. It's about a person.
Our hope is not in the coming of the Lord. Our hope is in the Lord who is coming. Hotspot. I'm not waiting for an event to bail me out. I'm waiting for a person that I know and love. He's coming back.
Access Skip's full archive of over 3,000 free teachings at connectwithskip.com. Connectwithskip.com. Now the $64 zillion question. What is your greatest hope? Lean in for this one.
One of the ways to tell a person is really a citizen of a kingdom is he or she wants to see the king. See the king. See the king. They can't wait to see the king.
Hotspot.
Alexander McLaren once said, fruitful and acceptable worship begins before it begins. That's a solar.
Tall your slave. If you don't love me, then why don't you set me free? So why did you take my heart, my heart? Let go, let go into the unknown. Let go, and God only knows that I won't let go. High water and the levee's breaking. High water and the levee's breaking. I tried, but it's not worth saving. I tried, but it's not worth saving. Short lights and it just might make it. Short lights and it just might make it home. And I won't let go. Let it go. Let go.
Here's Chris Hodges with a challenge to live a reproducing spiritual life.
Some people say, I don't know. I've heard that God's kind of already got all this played out. And that, by the way, in my opinion, and I'll prove it to you biblically, that's doctrinal error. That's doctrinal error. To say that God has written a script and he kind of picked people to go to heaven and he picked a bunch to go to hell and he picked a lot of good things to happen and he picked all the rapes and the bad things to happen. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. God is sovereign. He knows what's going on. But he has left it up to us, and that's why the Bible says that the Lord is not slow in his return. He said, I'm coming back one day. That's my promise. I'm coming back one day. But the reason why I'm not coming back is I am patient, not wanting anyone to perish. But, say this next word out loud, every voice, but. Okay, that was pretty good. Let's just do it a little bit better. But, yeah, everyone to come to repent. I don't want anyone to not get saved. The only reason I haven't come back yet is in the hopes that somebody else might respond.
That's Chris Hodges and a Star 88 PowerPoint.
Scraping pennies and broken dollars to follow your heart. Yeah. What does it matter if it's only gonna tear mine apart? I can only try to define my peace of mind, but does that part of me exist?
Hurricane Florence, now a Category 4 storm.
Millions are now rushing to prepare.
I don't think people realize how big this storm is.
California is battling climate change. Governor Jerry Brown today signing a bill committing the state to use 100% clean energy by 2045.
The Trump administration is closing a Palestinian diplomatic office in Washington.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders announced Kim Jong-un wrote President Trump asking for a second meeting, which she says is in the works.
Olivia Newton-John, the singer, revealing she's battling cancer now for a third time. A tumor discovered at the base of her spine.
A massive gas pipeline explosion rocked a neighborhood in Pennsylvania early this morning, destroying a home, cars, garages, and power lines.
President going after the Woodward book again.
He says Bob Woodward is a liar who is like a Democratic operative.
Singer John Legend, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber, and lyricist Tim Rice got an Emmy for a live TV version of Jesus Christ Superstar. Each now has an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony, joining only 12 others who can say, I got an EGOT.
Live from the Dreamstyle Remodeling Star 88 Studios. Good morning, everyone.
Yo.
Dex, Steve-O. How was your Tuesday?
Somber.
Very somber
Reflective.
today. Yeah.
Powerful.
Shout out to Steve-O for being selfless today and coming in while he's sick.
Just, you know.
I can feel it in my lungs, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I can feel my
You're
lungs
not allowed
filling
to
up
take
with
time
fluid.
off. I haven't been contagious for days.
Okay. He's dying over here.
Okay.
Could at least worn a mask, bro.
Could you imagine?
Thank you. Could you just cover your mouth?
Like this.
It's too late, man. You've already coughed and
I know.
licked my hand this morning, gleeked all over me.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I gave you a Ricola, bro. You'll be fine.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, man.
Put some Windex on it.
Shout out to everybody that's been chiming in. We've had people that are celebrating their birthday today because, I mean, that kind of stinks, right? It's your birthday on September 11th, and it's supposed to be a joyful day, and you look back, and it wasn't such a joyful day.
Well, it's
back
incredible
17
to
years
see
ago.
what came from it, though, the fruit of it. That's
Sure.
why I love that we're dedicating today's show to 9/11, because we're seeing the impact that this day had, whether it is like Amanda who called with birthdays. I just got to share the story of meeting one of my best friends, Jake, who was like the human being that God used to draw me into a relationship with him. I remember the Stormy just chimed in and said, my grandfather served in Vietnam, my father served during Desert Storm, and I served from 2008 to 2012.
Beautiful.
My family and this day, 9/11, was the reason I raised my right hand and swore to protect this country. In my time, I didn't go to Afghanistan or Iraq. I was tasked to build relationships with other countries, whether it be humanitarian efforts, building schools for the children. And I just want to thank all my brothers and sisters that went to the Middle East and fought. Freedom is not free. God bless you all. God bless America.
That's cool.
So
amazing.
On the flip side, somebody said, no, I think Steve-O's getting me sick through the radio.
Yeah,
so,
see, guys, it's contagious through the radio.
Yeah. So.
Can't talk.
Yeah.
Dying.
Whoo.
Yeah, if you guys want to share your stories, phone lines are open at 505-338-3700, and we're on Facebook and YouTube Live. And, of course, a lot of people texting in. But let me share a couple stories here about some men and women that on that day 17 years ago did some incredible things.
There are thousands of these stories. I
So
love
many.
hearing them.
Let's talk about Wells Crowther. Wells Crowther was in the South Tower of the World Trade Center, and a few minutes after United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower, he called his mother and calmly left a voicemail. Mom, this is Wells. I want you to know I'm okay. Well, right after he got off the phone, this man did some incredible things. This man was helping people, man. This guy, he's known to strangers as the man in the red bandana, because amid the smoke, chaos, and debris, Crowther helped injured and disoriented office workers to safety. He risked his own life in the process. He said he couldn't see much through the haze. Those he saved recalled a tall figure wearing a red bandana to shield his lungs and mouth.
Man.
Wells came down to the 78th floor sky lobby, and he kept going through. I mean, picture this. He can't see a thing, right? But he can hear the people, the screams, the cries. Right. And instead of running out of the building, this guy's like, Wells was like, no, man. So he started yelling for these people. You know, he started yelling, follow my voice, follow my voice. And so he's responsible for saving hundreds of people's lives. And these strangers, they remember him as the guy in the red bandana. One of them said, he's definitely my guardian angel. No ifs, ands, or buts. Because without him, we wouldn't be sitting here. Shout out to Wells Crowther.
Yeah.
An incredible man.
Who gave his life to save so many other people that day.
Yeah, his body was later recovered alongside firefighters in a stairwell heading back up the tower with the Jaws of Life rescue tool.
Wow.
So he was responsible for getting people out, but unfortunately the tower collapsed and he lost his life. Wow. So a shout out to him. An amazing story. And so many, I'm just looking through all these stories and it's like, oh my gosh. It's just so unbelievable. If you guys want to share your stories, 505-338-3700. You can text in and talk about where you were 17 years ago.
Dan chimed in with where he was. He said, we were a young married couple with a baby. We were in the hotel lobby at Disneyland having breakfast.
Oh, man.
TVs unfolding the events at the World Trade Center, the unbelievable reality of a full-on attack in New York City right in front of our eyes, people jumping to their death on morning television. The announcement came that Disneyland was closing for the first time in decades due to a possibility of more terrorist attacks by airplanes. They showed people in foreign countries cheering as they watched on television and Americans stunned in disbelief. If you've ever been sucker punched, here's how it goes. First, you try to defend yourself the best you can. Then you wobble up onto your feet and you're angry about what just happened. That's from Big Daddy. But, dude, imagine being at Disneyland and all of a sudden they're like,
sorry, we're closing.
Park's closed, guys.
Yeah.
First time in decades. I mean, the thousands of people there just going, okay.
Yeah, right.
Like I said, I was at the airport, and I mean, the airport shut down immediately. And shout out to the Sunport this morning. They actually had a moment of silence. Remember, the Stormy chimed in to let us know.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
At ABQ Sunport this morning.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was intense. I mean, it was a ghost town here, even in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Darla.
Hi, Darla.
Hey, Darla.
Hey, I was going to tell you my 9/11 story.
All right.
So, when I was a junior in college, I did a semester in New York City. I interned with an industrial designer there.
Wow.
And my subway stop was 2 stops away from the towers. So I worked very close to where they were.
Yeah.
And so I was there in the spring of 2001. So I was back home before the attack happened. But the profound part of this is that I had a dream that night that I was back in New York and that I was at the artist I worked with. We were at her house, and we were frantically packing. We were just throwing everything into suitcases and running down the stairs, and she had a car waiting outside for us. And we threw our stuff into the car, and we took off, and I was sitting in the back seat, and I was looking out the windows, and the whole city was in flames.
Oh, my gosh. That was a dream you had?
And that was a dream. And we were finally on a bridge. We were off the island, and I was looking back, and there was just billowing smoke everywhere and just panic.
Wow.
But in the dream, we got out, and we drove off. This is the part that doesn't make any sense. We drove off into the forest, and we just stayed there. So for whatever that means, at least we were safe.
Yeah.
And then I woke up to my phone ringing, and it was Jason, my husband, now my husband. At the time, he's my fiance. But he was calling to tell me to turn the TV on.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I can't even imagine.
So I turned the TV on, and I was living in Santa Fe where I was going to college. He was living in Albuquerque. And together we watched the events on the news.
Wow. Oh, I mean,
So
what are you
later-
thinking at that point? You know, you had a dream about New York being on fire, and then all of a sudden you get that phone call. Were you thinking you were a prophet
honestly,
or something?
I
Because
really-
that's just crazy. Like, why did you
Honestly,
show?
I really wasn't thinking anything.
Yeah.
I think I was just still so stunned that it was actually happening.
Yeah, I'd be freaking out, like wanting to know the meaning. Like, what? Why did I have that dream and then this happens? What?
Oh,
It
we
would-
rarely get to know the meaning of things like
Yeah,
this.
that's true. That's true. No.
You take it as a gift of I was receiving a message that I was safe and that she was safe.
Mm-hmm.
Later on that day, I was able to call the artist that I worked with. Her name is Michelle. I called and actually got through. And the first thing she said was, Darla, how did you get through? No one has been able to get through on the phone lines. And I said, I don't know. I just had to call you and make sure you're safe. She goes, I'm safe. Why don't we get off the phone so we can free up the lines for other people?
Wow.
So, and to this day,
Crazy.
her and I still talk. We're still friends.
Wow. Hey, thanks for sharing that.
So,
Crazy
no,
story.
you're welcome.
Man, yeah.
Have a good morning,
what a
guys.
story.
too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. 505-338-3700 if you'd like to call in. Phone lines are open.
Here's what's crazy. You just told the story of Wells Crowther, right?
Wells Crowther.
Who was like guy in the red bandana who saved the lives of all these people.
Yes.
Have you ever heard the story of Tanya Head?
I'm about to.
Yeah, you're about to. Tanya Head was in the South Tower of the World Trade Center on the 78th floor where the second plane hit. She saw the plane so close, she said she could feel the air being sucked out of her lungs.
Wow.
So the plane plunges into the 78th floor. By some miracle, she survives the impact, but her body was burning from the explosion of flames. Her right arm severed, hanging by a thread. She was thrown across the room and passed out. Waking up, she crawls through the carnage, her life on the line, handed a wedding ring by a man who never made it down, asked her to take it and give it to his wife. Eventually, she spotted a man in a red bandana.
Oh, wow, Crowther.
Wells Crowther, who would later become the hero of the 9/11 attacks, giving up his life to lead 12 others to safety. He stretched out his hand and helped her to safety, only to disappear back into the plume of smoke. She made it down the 78 flights of stairs just in time. When the towers collapsed, she was thrown under a rig. 6 days later, she woke up in a hospital burn unit, only to discover that her husband, Dave, had been killed in the North Tower.
Oh, my gosh.
Right?
Oh.
So she was like, became this inspiration. It was a story of surviving one tower, and then her husband lost his life in the other tower. She became a driving force as this founding member of the World Trade Center Survivors Network. Her story gripped so many Americans. She would tell tour guides all around Ground Zero about this incredible story. She told New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg as they toured the site her incredible story. So then fast forward a few years, and the New York Times decided we're going to do an inspiring survivor story on the anniversary of 9/11, and so many people knew Tanya because of her story that they were like, you've got to use Tanya Head. Her story is incredible. Like no one's got a story like her. Her husband died in the other tower. It's a crazy story. So the New York Times were looking to profile this woman, and so they started looking into it and started checking out her story.
Right.
And it turns out she's a liar.
Oh.
She lied.
My gosh.
She made the whole story up.
Are you kidding me?
No, there's actually a documentary called The Woman Who Wasn't There. Turns out her real name isn't even Tanya Head at all.
Oh, no.
Yeah. She wasn't even in the United States on September 11th.
Shut up.
She was in Barcelona attending business school.
Oh, my gosh.
And if it wasn't for the New York Times trying to profile a survivor, no one ever would have known.
Jeez, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So all of a sudden, when they started the story, it's like there were flaws in her story.
Things weren't adding up.
Yeah. No one, survivors never questioned her about like some little inconsistencies before, because it was 9/11 and everybody's like devastated.
Sure.
but like she would refer to her husband as her fiance randomly, and then vice versa as her husband. She refused to share his last name in order to protect his parents' privacy.
Okay.
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable.
She would visit his memorial, Dave's memorial, every year and bring a toy yellow taxi to the place in the nearby reflection pools.
Oh my gosh, people are sick.
In memoriam of their first meeting. Yeah. So it's like, how could you ever question her? They met in a taxi in New York. We're gonna every year.
Gosh.
So I guess what happened was the New York Times did their normal background checking and things started to not check out. Like she claimed to have gone to Harvard and Stanford and to have been working at the World Trade Center for Merrill Lynch, but Harvard, Stanford, Merrill Lynch had no record of her. Her real name wasn't even Tanya, it was Alicia. She was from a wealthy Spanish family and dreamt of fame and her name in lights, and so she created the World Trade Center Survivors Network. She didn't want to steal from the World Trade Center Survival Network that she created, so she didn't want money, she wanted fame, and she seriously hoped that her story would drum up enough interest to get her a movie deal.
Oh my gosh. So she didn't get busted for stealing any money, did she? I mean, so she wasn't doing it for the money, or was she just saying that?
She
was.
She said she wasn't doing it for the money, and to a point where the New York Times writer who like busted her said, quote, "I went up to her apartment the day that the Times article came out. I wanted to give her another chance to tell her side of the story. Even though we knew she wasn't the person she said she was, it didn't change our attachment to her for the story. I said it took a while for that to happen. She told me she would tell me her story one day, but not. She never did. And I guess 5 years later on the streets, they spotted her in Manhattan, and she just said, 'Don't come near me. Get away from me,' because she was at Ground Zero on the 10th anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep.
Disgusting, man. That's just what it is. That woman is sick.
So you still don't know why she did it necessarily, but there's actually now a documentary about her called The Woman Who Wasn't There.
Oh my gosh, wow. I bet you there were so many other people that took advantage, because that's the way those sick people are. They take advantage of those situations. It's disgusting.
I don't get it. A member of the Army said she also became very close friends with an actual surviving family.
Oh my gosh.
And so they were obviously devastated when she was debunked.
Ugh.
But, man.
Hey, we're coming up on a break, but go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. It's Rhett. How you doing?
Hey, Rhett.
Got about a minute.
Yeah, okay. So the very first, when I first heard about this, I was actually driving to drop off a movie that I had rented at a movie store way back when those actually existed. And the first report that I had gotten was that it was a plane, and I was thinking it was just another, Cessna type of thing, because that had happened before. By the time I got into the movie store, the lady that owned it was like, "No, it was a jet, and it's on the news right now." We wound up sitting there. I had grandparents that lived in New York, so the next thing I did was call them to make sure they were okay, and I couldn't get through because the phone lines were down.
Yeah.
And then my uncle flew for one of the airlines out of the same airport that those two planes came from. And I tried to get a hold of him and couldn't get a hold of him. Later on, just to wrap things up briefly, later on I found out that about 7 of my friends from various online groups had wound up losing their lives that day. But my uncle had just had a really bad feeling and had called into work. He never went in.
Wow.
So I was just, I thank God for his protection on my family, and literally every time I see the clock hit 9/11, there's always a prayer going out for those families that did lose on September 11th.
Yeah.
Man, Rhett,
Thanks,
thank you for
Rhett.
the story.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Take care, guys.
We'll see you, man. All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to share a story about a man who did another amazing sacrifice. I mean, Rick Rescorla, all right? Rick Rescorla. Remember that name. This guy has an incredible story. He was in the building on September 11th when the planes hit, and he did some amazing things. So we'll share more stories coming up. You guys can chime in on Facebook and YouTube. And phone lines are open when we come back, 505-338-3700. Hang out with us. We'll be right back.
I love the food at the fair. I want to go on a roller coaster.
My wife and I had our first date at the fair.
For 80 years, the New Mexico State Fair has warmed hearts, brought families and friends together, and created lifelong memories. This year, come and celebrate everything you love about the fair.
I really like the animals in the petting zoo. I like the pygmy goats. They're funny.
The 2018 New Mexico State Fair, September 6th through 16th.
The memories are always the best.
Love is in the fair.
Jonah was a prodigal prophet. God told Jonah to go one way, Jonah went the other. But the book of Jonah teaches us that God cares about obedience. God will get our attention, and He's prepared to forgive, whether it's a rebellious preacher or a rebellious city. Learn more from our studies of Jonah this week on A New Beginning with Pastor Greg Laurie.
Make an appointment with Greg Laurie weekdays at 8:30 a.m. on our sister station, KNKT 107.1 FM. A supernova on Star 88 with David Jeremiah.
The Antichrist is going to be mortally wounded. He is going to be looked at as dead. People are going to think his power is over. This great ruler who has been the coalition leader of the whole world. And all of a sudden, out of his death, he will come back to life. He will feign the resurrection. What is his name? Antichrist. What is his program? Counterfeit. What is he after? To draw the masses after him. It's his last fling upon the earth. Remember, he knows he's got but a short time. He's going to use everything at his disposal to try to take as many people to hell with him as he can, because he's been thrown out of heaven and he's been set loose for just a time here on this earth. And his program is going to be awesome. It will be a terrible time in the history, and they will follow him because he has great military power.
Turning Point with David Jeremiah. Don't miss it on our sister station, KNKT, weekdays at 11 a.m. on 107.1 FM. This is KLYT, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, rebroadcast on KKCJ, Cannon Air Force Base, KPKJ, Mintmore, K201CC, Las Cruces, K203EZ, Alamogordo, K207CQ, Gallup, K211CW, Hobbs, K212EH, Silver City, K214DE, Antonito, K218AK, Artesia, K250AB, Roswell, K293AO, Alamosa, K228DQ, Portales, in the free app for iOS and Android, and online at star88.fm.
I see through your eyes. You breathe with my lungs. I strain with your ear to make out it's your mother's son. Blessed with your hand. Pray on my knees. It's my blood in your veins, in your heart. It's beating in me. Finally, when will it be enough? To find there's no them, there is only us.
The Morning Invasion.
Ready for this?
What? On Star 88.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers.
It does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane. Has just
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
We just saw another plane coming in from the side.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
It's very hot. I don't see any air anymore. Okay. All I see is smoke.
Okay, dear, I'm so sorry. Hold on stay calm with me. Stay calm.
Please.
Listen. The call is in. I'm documented. I'm going to let those... Hold on 1 second, please.
I'm going to die, aren't I?
Just sit tight. All right, just sit tight. We're on the way.
All right, please hurry.
We got a United 93 out here. Are you aware of that?
United 93. We've got 3 more right there, airborne.
It has a bomb on board.
A bomb on board. Do you have a mode screen, sir?
No, we lost this transponder. Negative. Clear to see shoot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is horrible.
This is horrible.
Yeah, there's smoke. We had about 100 people up here.
Sit tight. Do not leave, okay? There's a fire or an explosion or something in the building.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended. A terrorist attack designed to tear us apart.
Suddenly to just see this.
Those who make war against the United States have chosen their own destruction.
Let me tell you guys about Rick Rescorla. This guy has an incredible story. Rick Rescorla. This guy was already a hero. He was in Vietnam. He earned the Silver Star and other awards for being an Army officer. He was actually immortalized on the cover of the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young. And he would often sing to his men to calm them down while under fire, using songs of his youth while growing up in the United Kingdom. Well, he was there on September 11th. He was working as head of corporate security for Morgan Stanley. He was in the South Tower when American Flight 11 hit the tower next to him. The Port Authority ordered Rescorla to keep his employees at their desks. Well, Rescorla, who had frequently warned the Port Authority and his company about the World Trade Center's security weaknesses, had already issued the order to evacuate. He had made Morgan Stanley employees practice emergency drills for years, and it paid off that day. Just 16 minutes after the first plane hit the opposite tower, more than 2,700 employees and visitors were out when the second plane hit their building. During the evacuation, Rescorla calmly reassured people, singing God Bless America and Men of Harlech over a bullhorn as they walked down the stairs. Now, during the evacuation, Rescorla called his wife. He said, "Stop crying. I have to get these people out safely. If something should happen to me, I want you to know I've never been happier. You made my life. Rescorla was last seen on the 10th floor of the South Tower, heading upward to look for any stragglers, and his body was never found. So remember that name. Rick Rescorla, responsible for saving more than 2,700 lives. He sacrificed his own. So many stories. So many incredible stories of people sacrificing their lives, not caring, not being fearful. Maybe they were fearful, but they didn't allow that to make them run away from it, you know? They went towards the fear. They went towards the danger. And that's what a hero does, right? That's what they do. It's just incredible to hear these stories.
Yeah.
Just thinking, man, if I was in that situation, I'd like to think I would do that, but I don't know. I have no idea. But we're remembering those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, that laid down their lives, sharing your guys' stories, where you were at 17 years ago. Jeez. And it's you shared that story a little bit ago about that lady who lied.
Right.
And I'm still fired up over it.
Sadly, it's not the only one.
Oh my
I've
gosh,
read a
I'm
few,
sure.
and I'm just going.
I'm sure that's what
when
that's what
tragedy,
people do,
yeah.
man. It's insane how they look for those opportunities to scam people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If you missed that story, make sure you go back and catch the podcast. There's a feature film documentary along with a book called The Woman Who Wasn't There, about Tanya Head, who was one of the faces, and it turns out it was all a lie.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
Unreal.
Yep.
Phone lines are open. Lots of people have been calling in this morning, sharing their stories. 505-338-3700. And, of course, we're on Facebook and YouTube Live at Star 88 FM. You guys can chime in there. We got the live line. You can text in. What's the number?
505-585-LIVE. That's 505-585-5483 to text in and be a part of the show.
Shout out to my Uncle Ted.
Yeah.
He chimed in on Facebook. He said, please pray for us that, the Hurricane Florence, I guess, is about ready to hit them over there on the East Coast. So send some prayers over that way.
Yeah.
Love you, Uncle Ted. Guys, be safe.
Gosh, I was watching video of that from space. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. What is it? What is it? A Category 4?
Oh, I don't know. I was just watching a YouTube video. Gosh, why you ask me real questions?
Is it huge? Is it big?
Yes.
Is it headed their way?
Yes.
Is the eye of the storm headed that way? Yeah.
It's a Category 4 storm.
Oh my gosh, Category 4 is no joke.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah. Can't remember if it was NASA or
Wow, look at that.
They posted video of
Holy
what
cow.
it looks like from space, and it was like, yeah, nah, man, that ain't cool.
You know what, Uncle Ted? You know what? Just come over to the West Coast again. You know, let's come over. You know
The
what?
West Coast.
Go back. All the families in San Diego, bro. They don't get hurricanes there. Move back. Go up to Montana. All you got to worry about is the super volcanoes up there.
Oh, that's it? Dude, I'm telling you, you look at this, yeah, be praying, guys, because it looks nasty.
Have you ever been in a hurricane?
I have not.
I haven't either, and I can't even imagine what it's like to be in a tornado or a hurricane.
I was in a tornado.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, when we were little. It hit our house in Lubbock, Texas. I remember sitting in the door frame of the bathroom and the hallway, and it was terrifying. And I remember the house shaking. I remember glass shattering. And then the next day, I remember that we had a giant tree in the front yard, and it was completely ripped out. And it was like almost into the street, like just, yeah. So, but the house, it was old brick house. It did really well.
Wow.
Everybody lived. But yeah,
I know your mom. She went away for a while. How long was it? Almost like in your guys's, in the time frame here. Yeah. Did it seem like it was a long time that your mom was gone, or was it almost instant?
For those that don't understand the joke he's trying to pull off, my mother's name is Dorothy.
Uh-huh.
And
yeah, that's where it all happened.
Since she was little.
At Lubbock, Texas. Not Kansas.
Her least favorite
Lubbock,
thing
Texas.
has always been, hey, where's Toto? Or, we're not in Kansas anymore. So thank you for
it wasn't the
continuing
yellow
that.
brick road. It was the actual brick house that you lived in. See, people, they over the years, the story changes. You know,
Yeah.
it changes. And I can't believe that was your mom. That they wrote about.
Guys, that's
Wizard
my
of
mom.
Oz.
Wizard
they wrote a
of
book
Dorothy.
after her.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, when you get hit in the head, you'd see like witches, and, you know,
yes,
and
that
flying
must be
monkeys, and
must be it.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Little munchkins
I'm
running
like,
around.
where are you? What do you mean? I know your mom went away. I was like, what is that? I was not tracking.
Yeah. Well, you guys definitely don't like the media to know about it, so no. I'll talk about it all day.
Yeah. We started a fund. Nope.
Okay. Yeah. You started a fund, huh?
That's tragic, dude. I mean, more often than not, you see it happening. Hey, by the way, we want to remind you guys listening in the Albuquerque area, the memorial ceremony is going to be held for the public to attend that honors all victims and survivors affected by the attacks on September 11, 2001. It's happening at noon at the Civic Plaza, like Albuquerque Fire Rescue, honoring public safety personnel that responded to the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001, with the annual firefighter stair climb our boy Myers is doing. Following the stair climb, a memorial ceremony is going to be held for the public to attend that honors all victims and survivors affected by the attacks of 9/11. State, city officials, public safety leaders. It's a free public event. All are welcome. It will be a time to honor those lives who were affected that day. And so state, city dignitaries, public safety leaders in the community will be there. And just noon today.
That's good.
9/11 memorial ceremony.
Let me share a story about two former U.S. Marines.
Oh, man.
While the planes were hitting the World Trade Center, 27-year-old Jason Thomas, was dropping his daughter off at school. Oh, excuse me, dropping off his daughter to his mother in Long Island.
I just wish you would read before you did these.
I just kind of
heroic
assumed.
stories.
I'm trying to skim through this thing.
Just do it.
It's a long
verbatim.
story,
Just
all
do
right?
it
Hey,
verbatim
don't
if
cut me
you're
off.
gonna-
I got to get through this thing. When Thomas heard what had transpired, he changed into the Marine Corps uniform he had sitting in his trunk. Yeah, he was a former sergeant who had been out of the Corps for a year, and he sped toward Manhattan. Someone needed help. Didn't matter who. I didn't even have a plan, but I have all this training as a Marine, and all I could think was, my city is in need. Well, around the same time, in Connecticut, Dave Carnes was working in his office, watching the attack unfold on TV. We're at war, the former Marine Staff Sergeant said to his colleagues, before telling his boss he might not be back for a while. He went and got a haircut, changed into his Marine uniform, and drove toward New York City at 120 miles per hour. Remember, this guy's in Connecticut. Well, now, both Marines, once they reached the collapsed towers, the site now covered in ash and debris, they began searching for survivors. But first, they found each other. They had little gear with them besides flashlights and a military entrenching tool. And along with other first responders, the pair climbed over dangerous field of metal concrete dust, calling out, United States Marines, if you can hear us, yell or tap. Oh, my gosh. Oh, the movies. Have you watched any of the 9/11 movies that have come out over the years?
Not any of the. I've watched documentaries. I've never watched any of them.
One of them, I think, was the Nicolas Cage one.
Yep.
And this reminds me because they were trapped under all the rubble, and that was the thing. They were just all they could do was just hit on the metal and try to get someone's attention.
Ugh.
So here are these two Marines who had just ran into the danger. They're searching and searching. And they actually are responsible for saving tons of lives.
Wow.
And shout out to Carnes.
And they lived?
They lived. These are actually two survivors that lived.
Guys, they lived.
So
a story where they lived at the end.
Yep. Dave Carnes.
I mean, they lived on that day.
Well,
because
sure.
we're all gonna die.
Yep.
So, like,
just sharing incredible stories.
yeah. And then you look to your right.
It's you gonna open the door, or are you just gonna lock it?
Guys, what do you think?
What do you think we should
I
do?
look over and there's this chick with mascara, and she's
getting
like,
ready to
just
come
like,
in.
doing her makeup at the window, and it's like, she wants to come in, but she's not going to say she wants to come in. She's just going to stand there, like
stand
weird.
at the door.
And then I'm going to open the door and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see you guys there. I'm just going to.
I kind of want to hear her story.
Okay, but what do you want to talk about, Tam?
What do you got, Tam?
Oh, hi. Hi, what are you doing?
Come on in, Tam.
Didn't notice us here?
Come on in.
Oh, yeah?
Let's hear what she has to say.
Against our door?
Whoa.
Listen,
hey, this is a
tone it
day.
down.
This is a day.
This is 9/11 Memorial Day. You don't
No yelling
no
and screaming.
Sorry,
I've
I'll bring
only
it down.
yelled like twice.
I'll bring it down. I'm sorry. I actually, no, I was just, can I talk at this level? Is this okay?
Yes.
Is this calming?
Yeah.
I was just applying some eye makeup there outside the window.
I don't know why you're doing that, because you're about to look like the Wicked Witch of the West.
No.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
tears. Gonna have the crazy running, like we've been crying all morning.
I know. First thing I thought of when I saw my phone this morning when it said 9/11.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, today is the day. I thought about it last night.
Yeah.
Obviously, like it was horrific.
Right.
And so.
Married to a Marine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I bet you got some stories to share.
There were lots of Marines that were in on that
Can
as
you
well.
spit your gum out,
17
please?
years ago.
You could stop smacking your gum.
Do I miss smacking in your ear?
No. You're good.
So
where were you?
Where were you guys at? Where was I?
Yeah.
Where were you
Yeah,
at?
we're asking you.
I actually, it's kind of a crazy story. You hear these stories all around.
Everyone's got the story. Yeah.
But my dad was scheduled to we're unsure if it was that exact flight or not. We're thinking, because he would always go to the East Coast.
Yeah.
And he had happened to miss his flight to New York that day.
By the way, you have 2 minutes. As soon as this song is over, this story needs to be done.
And he ended up missing it. I was in school.
Wait, he was flying to New York from where?
Yes, correct. That was supposed to be his connecting flight, from what I understand.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Like, you mean United 93 then? The one
United
that was going to
93.
Not the one from New York.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Clearly.
So anyway, it was cool. The timing was amazing. God obviously spared him.
Yeah.
There were so many other stories as well, I'm sure, that are devastating.
Wait.
That was a really
Is that the
like you
story?
just summed it up. Well, you're kind of putting her on like
I'm wrapping it up
Oh,
because
no, you have
told
like
me
a
I'd
minute and a half. You're good. Keep going.
No, I'm done.
What were you doing?
I was singing. I was singing in an assembly, actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait. So you're at an assembly singing? Did they shut it down?
Yeah, there was like this alarm that went off all around, and then we stopped, and then we were right next to air traffic control, and so they had blocked.
Wait, were you at Hope?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my mom worked at that building.
Yes, and then they blocked off like the roads were nuts. Traffic was insane.
Yep.
Everybody left work.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't know what was going on.
I had no
away,
clue.
huh?
And then
Yeah.
I walked outside and I saw my dad, who I thought was supposed to be on a flight.
Right.
My dad was outside directing traffic. So
Wow.
he had basically come to the school to check on my brother and I to make sure that we were all right. And when he came, I saw him because I was outside. They said school's canceled today. We're gonna call your parents. Everyone's gonna go home.
Yeah.
And we're gonna relax, do nothing until we hear what to do.
That's another,
insane.
another like, I know it sounds dumb, but another minor effect of 9/11. We always talk about like how airports changed, like everything changed. My mom's job changed that day.
Did it?
Forever. I used to be able to visit her. My
Oh,
mom was
right.
an air traffic controller right there off Paseo. And it used to be that like, yeah, you just go visit, you could whatever. And dude,
Yeah.
like it became like Fort Knox.
Oh yeah.
As
no
a kid,
one in.
it was hard because as a kid, I could not go tell my dad goodbye anymore at the airport. They
Right.
stopped me.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for us because my dad is a traveling man.
Right.
And so it was really important for me to walk him to the gate. We always had our little like same thing that we did. And when we picked him up and everything and all of that changed. So like my heart broke because I was like,
Sure.
everybody's so, everybody,
Yeah.
all this scary stuff's going on in the world. And my heart was breaking because I was already used to something and I was attached to my dad in that way where I could walk him there and walk him back. And they were saying, no, you can't after this point, which made me nervous when he would fly.
Yeah.
I would be like, why is he,
Yeah.
is everything okay? Is everything okay? I was like, I had anxiety for like 2 years after that.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot. So it does. It affects you in little ways, I think, that you don't expect it to affect you in for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I hadn't even thought about the mom aspect until just now because it's true.
Yeah.
It was intense. Like
Right.
I could visit if there were certain days and it had to be planned and I had to get clearance to like.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm her son. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like none of that mattered. It's like this federal building and everything changed.
Which kind of sort of turned into a you don't matter because everyone takes it very personal.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that happened was it very much so felt like, no, your feelings don't matter. This like it sort of took the homegrown feeling out of your jobs.
Yeah.
Everything was very like, I can't trust you.
How old is Tones?
37.
37. So was
20.
he? So was he in the military at that time? Was he a Marine at that time when the attacks happened? Wow.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Or he was starting in
He
because
was 20.
Oh no, he was not in yet.
No,
he went in at 21. I think it was 21.
See, I'd love to talk to him, and I wonder how much of that impacted his decision to enlist.
Yeah, and
He's
I
your
think
husband. I feel like you should know these
Go
things.
ahead, tell a story.
I'm
Go
more
ahead,
so embarrassed that I don't
tell us
know
his
that.
story.
Share his story, Tam. Go ahead.
That's why
Gosh,
he's
put
a
me right on
Marine.
the spot.
We got a few minutes.
He
Go ahead.
enlisted like months later. I have a
he
feeling
enlisted
it possibly maybe
last week.
could have impacted his decision.
So what we did find out is that he is enlisted indefinitely. So they thought that he was able to get out of the Marine Corps, and then there was a muster a few months ago, which is kind of like where they just sort of get a head count, see who's what's going on, who's still in there, update information,
He's still
blah blah
active?
blah. And so they told him that although he's in the reserves, he's because he's a pastor here. They said, you're a captain in the Marine Corps, you are in indefinitely, and so
I bet
unless his body can't handle it,
I was going to say, I bet he's fired up about that, right?
But
because once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine.
Here's
You're
the
ready
thing,
to
though.
go.
Some people are truly created to do that,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want to go to war. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
I don't
and
think anybody does.
And people will say like, "Oh, don't you want this?" And I'm like, "Okay, look, no." You don't want anybody going through that. But here's the thing. If you want someone, you're going to want to pick that guy.
Sure.
You're going to definitely want him to be supporting or leading a platoon just because of his accuracy in life and the way he thinks and the way he is with military.
He
and
walks me into my car every day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, every day I say, hey, can you
I
hold
wish
my
you
hand
would
and
walk
walk
me
me
to
to
my
my
car
car?
every
He
day.
does.
Holds both of
Is
your
that,
hands.
is that silver car still out there?
Dude,
We need to
I don't know, man.
Got here this morning, and it was already somber, like be alert, vigilant, see something, say something kind of day. You know what I'm saying? It's 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
I got to work, and there was a car parked across from it was parked in my normal
You get to
spot.
work early.
I know. And it was parked in my spot. So I was like, well, I can't park there. So I pulled up across from it.
What
And my
happened?
headlights were, and a dude sat up.
Oh, he was sleeping.
But there were two people living in it.
Oh, there's
It
two
was like
people.
a car lit. I'm not making this
No,
up.
there's
This is
for real.
real.
Yeah.
Like Tamara,
Yeah.
this is real life. This
I
was this
know.
morning. So
And
I
of
want to go make
all
sure my
the
car's still there.
spots-
They took
Of
my
all the
spot.
spots that there are, that's a big parking lot.
But it was like there was a TV in there. I'm not being funny right now. It was like they lived in the car.
Well, how
And they
did
were
you think the
parked
TV worked?
And I immediately,
run?
like he was
Yeah.
kind of groggy-eyed, and I ran up and I said, "Where were you?"
No, you did
Where
not.
were you?
That's what I did. And we had him on
Where
the
were
first
you?
hour of the show. You
You
have to listen to the podcast.
liar.
You know, you're just as bad as
I
that
might have
lady.
made that part up. I might have
Okay,
made that
I
part
was
up.
like, okay, now
But
you're
I
taking
really
it.
did get freaked out this morning. They were really in the parking lot, and I was
There
like, "See
are.
something, say something, be
There-
vigilant."
I definitely have been feeling, and it wasn't just
forget.
because I maybe I have this subconscious PTSD going on in my mind from 17 years ago, but I was definitely feeling strange,
Yeah.
like the last couple weeks of like that feeling of like, does you just kind of feel like we're kind of going into something
It's
strange?
like something's going to happen.
Yeah, like that kind of strange feeling.
But here's the thing. I've been feeling that ever since 2001.
Really?
You know, I've been feeling like, okay, you know what? Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Man, our friend Mark in Tempe, he's an airline pilot. He was in flight school with one of the terrorists who flew one of the planes.
way.
And so he's like, talk about changing your perspective. He has a terrible time trusting people. He
Sure.
went to flight school with this dude.
That's terrifying. I think this is where discernment comes in because obviously you get really nervous about who you can trust and who you can't trust. And that's in life in general. So you see people who come out of bad relationships. You see people who have had different instances happen where family members have passed away or and there's
Hurts
like
or
this.
wrongs
Yeah.
or-
And so then you develop this like strange thing of this mistrust. Well, as people continue to
Got 30 seconds.
sort of prove that trust,
15.
it still messes things up because
does.
they still can't really people still mess up. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So at some point, you really got to let that go because you
It's
can
hard.
be vigilant, you can be aware, but you really do have to pray and say, God, am I being tricked?
Right.
Am I being deceived? And He will tell you.
That's
Yeah.
why this morning in the parking lot when I saw those two people, I just walked over and gave them my car keys because I was like, "Don't break the window.
Yep.
If you're going to steal
Seriously,
something,
I've been through
Just
so
take it,
much.
man.
if you're going to steal
I
something,
can't
just
not
take
again.
it.
Just take it,
That's all I
man.
would just say.
I'm not
Take
into
it.
that.
I hope my car's still out there.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe we'll go check.
Oh, yeah, we should probably
You
do
know?
that. Although I think we have a guest out there waiting.
Oh,
we have a
Give
guest.
us some goods.
You do?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Donuts? Or?
I don't know.
You guys want to chime in?
Great.
We're live on Facebook and
Candy
YouTube at
lady.
Star 88 FM. And, of course, we are paying tribute to what happened 17 years ago on this day, September 11th. So if you guys want to chime in, phone lines are open, 505-338-3700. When we come back, you don't want to miss the tribute. We played it earlier this morning, but this tribute...
Is this the one?
This
You're playing
one
this one?
is
Oh, no.
so unbelievable,
Yeah.
and I feel like
It's
you guys
important.
need to hear it.
I think it's important.
Because it'll make you, it'll draw you in and make you
Just
feel
get
like
ready to cry.
like you were there again, you know?
It's
And-
the best
Oh.
montage I've ever heard for 9/11. It really
Yeah.
is.
So we got that coming up for you in just a little bit. Hang out. We'll be right back.
Slater Transfer and Storage is a Star 88 power partner. Slater Transfer and Storage has been family owned for more than 30 years. They're an Atlas Interstate agent and are certified by the American Moving and Storage Association, moving locally, long distance, corporate, or even international, and providing local storage. Slater Transfer and Storage is located at 6900 Washington Street in Albuquerque. On the phone at 505-345-8841 and on the web at atlasalb.com.
I love the food at the fair. I want to go on a roller coaster.
My wife and I had our first date at the fair.
For 80 years, the New Mexico State Fair has warmed hearts, brought families and friends together, and created lifelong memories. This year, come and celebrate everything you love about the fair.
I really like the animals in the petting zoo. I like the pygmy goats. They're funny.
The 2018 New Mexico State Fair, September 6th through 16th.
The memories are always the best.
Love is in the fair.
Do you ever get so excited that you just can't wait?
Here is the new music of
Star 88.
I've been waiting my whole life for this.
And every beat of my heart keeps reminding me I see you in every little thing all day. No matter where I go, I know your love is finding me. I see you in everything.
Vertical worship, Christian hits, fresh indie, Star 88. William Booth of the Salvation Army, when asked what the chief dangers confronting the church were, replied, religion without the Holy Ghost, Christianity without Christ, forgiveness without repentance, salvation without regeneration, politics without God, and heaven without hell. That's a solar flare.
When everyone you thought you knew deserts your fight, I'll go with you. You're facing down a dark hall. I'll grab my light and go with you. I'll 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 go with you. Surrounded and up against the wall, I'll shred them all and go with you. When choices end, you must defend. I'll grab my back and go with you. I'll go with you. I'll go with you. I'll go with you. Yeah. Stay with me. You don't need to run. Stay with me. My love. You don't need to run. Stay with me. You don't need to run. Stay with me. My love. You don't need to run. If there comes a day, people posted up at the end of your driveway, they're calling for your head and they're calling for your name. I'll bomb down on them, I'm coming through. Do they know I was born with you? If they hear the smoke, no, I'll go with you. Just keep it outside, yeah. Stay with me. You don't need to run. Stay with me. My love. You don't need to run. Stay with me. You don't need to run. Stay with me. My love. You don't myself in a lion's den. I'll jump right in and pull my pin and go with you. I'll 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 go with you. My God, I'll go with you. Yeah. Stay with me. No, you don't need to run. Stay with me. My love, you don't need to run. Stay with me. No, you don't need to run. Stay with me. My love, you don't need to run.
Chad Beach says the church is all about good news.
Every year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, everyone on social media, they'll always post these iconic photos of Martin Luther King Jr. He'll be, preaching to thousands, or he'll be in like a hotel room with his pen and paper and a Bible out. And they're just these beautiful photos of the life that he lived, and then they'll put these quotes, things that Martin Luther King Jr. said, these beautiful quotes that he echoed once from a sermon or, from a speech that he gave. And I don't know about you, but I love quotes. Anybody else? Somebody posted a photo with a poem that he wrote. The first line made me stop in my tracks. The first line, I was like, good. Listen to what Martin Luther King Jr. said. He said, feelings come and feelings go. I said, that will preach. Feelings come and feelings go. We are not building our life on our feelings. We are building our life on the truth of God's word. God's word. Oh, come on, anybody thankful today that you don't have to be a slave to your emotions and a slave to how you feel?
Chad Beach, a Stardy 8 PowerPoint.
Hey, what's going on in the news today?
The southeastern United States is preparing for the arrival of Hurricane Florence.
John Bolton has threatened sanctions against judges on the International Crime Court if the court moves forward with an investigation into alleged war crimes by U.S. service members in Afghanistan.
The court has been ineffective.
The Montreal Canadiens have traded their captain. Max Pacioretty scored more than 200 goals during his career in Montreal, but he's now a member of the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Florida's Republican nominee for governor, Ron DeSantis, says he's stepping down from his seat in Congress.
A Latina mom has been picked as the first juror in the trial of a white Chicago officer accused of murdering black teen Laquan McDonald.
Survey from Common Sense Media shows that in 2012, less than half of teens owned a smartphone. Today, almost 90% of teens own one.
The United Nations is warning that the exodus of people from Venezuela could soon rival the number that have fled war-torn Syria.
A pipeline company is cleaning up more than 8,000 gallons of jet fuel that spilled into a river in northeastern Indiana. Buckeye Pipeline says it spilled in the St. Mary's River near the city of Decatur.
Say again. Executive 956, did you understand that transmission?
Yeah, that transmission he said was unreasonable. It sounded like someone said they have a bomb on board.
Sir, did you hear the transmission where the airplane just said he had a bomb on board? Affirmative, he said there was a bomb on board. That's what we thought. We just, we didn't get it clear.
That aircraft, you can't get a hold of it. He turned to the east now?
He's just turned to the east also.
Okay, 956, we had a visual out of this standby.
Now?
We did, but we lost him in the turn.
You can make a turn back to 220 heading. Let me know if you can see him.
They were making a turn by 956.
We're 30 northwest of here. Can you see that? Okay, American 10-6 and Executive 956. We just lost the target on that aircraft.
Man, Z100 852. Something weird is going on.
Yeah.
The World Trade Center is on fire.
Oh my Seriously, goodness. The top of the building. We're trying to get information.
Top level of one of the
news to unfold from New York City.
A plane crashed. Just.
My sister's in that building.
Okay.
And I hope she's okay, and I gotta run to New York. Oh my God, it's complete pandemonium.
All right, first of all, calm down.
There's raining papers and ashes. And
second plane has now flown in
Wait,
the world.
explosion at the Pentagon?
A third location outside of New York and outside of Washington,
I don't have words to describe what I'm witnessing right now.
Effective immediately until further notice, flight operations in the national airspace system by United States civil aircraft and foreign civil and military aircraft are prohibited.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
On itself, and it is
just landed on Manhattan.
All right, so now we look back up to the TV. One of the World Trade Towers has collapsed and fallen.
What's happening?
I've never seen anything like this.
I've got 5 patients. We got an ambulance full of cops and pedestrians. Another tower that just came down, 1013. All the cops away from the building. You got a female officer down. Female officer, where are you now, King? Where are you, King?
We're not going to be stopped. We're not going to be deterred. We're not going to stay at home. We're not going to be frightened. We're going to live our lives as Americans.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
We're all brothers. We all got to stick together.
My God, look at the skyline without the towers.
Sean, it's me. I just wanted to let you know I love you, and I'm second I'm filming. I'm waiting at the building where a bomb went off. We don't know, but there's lots of smoke, and we just wanted you to know that I love you.
Because in our day, will prevail.
We will not turn. It is as old as the scriptures. We will not falter. And is as clear. And we will not fail. As the American Constitution. Is that United 93? Is that United 93 calling? United 93. United 903. United 93. Is that United 93?
That tribute is one of the most unbelievable tributes I've ever heard in my life. I mean,
all real audio.
You feel like you're there. You
everything
feel like
from the airplane, the shaking of the ground, the falling of the tower, and it's.
How you feeling, Tam?
I think it's pretty crazy, like just the reality of that, because people go watch movies to get these thrills, and they like action and they like all of this suspense and everything else. You listen to that.
Yeah.
And you think about a movie that you see or something that would be fake or created.
Right.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is so real.
Those are reactions.
And there's nothing like, and you can't drum that up. Like you're saying, that's all real audio.
Yeah.
It's just like, it really puts into perspective how to pray in the best way possible. Like, how am I, like every voice that came on, I just started within me, like immediately was kind of prompted to just pray for that person's family.
Right.
That person's child, if they had them, that person's mother or father. And two, because those people today, it's like, is it easier for them to want to look through things and remind and kind of get some like closure with different things, or is it harder for them to hear it all day long? Because we're trying to give tribute to those who lost their lives and who really did the best that they could to help save other people, and to just all hands on deck, and people who came to help take off the parts of a building on family members.
Yeah.
To find children, to find adults, it's the saddest thing. And so to see that, or to be reminded of that, I'm sure every single year can be probably one of the most painful things.
Well, we talked about this morning is when 9/11 happened, we saw the country unite in a way that we've never seen or heard, and we experienced that together. And then it was years later we started to fall away again. Yeah. And now we look at where America's at right now, 17 years later, and we're divided as a country. We're complaining and freaking out over the dumbest things. Mm-hmm. And it's awful that it takes a tragedy to unite us as a country, you know?
Well, and sometimes the things that we're divided over aren't necessarily even dumb things. It's the way that we react and respond to them that make it a stupid situation. There's no more room for conversation. There's no more room for dialogue, discussion. It's like, it is this way, and if you're against it, then like it's the end of the world, and people are freaking out on both sides, whether it's political, whether it's has to do with your faith, whether it has to do with, I mean, any situation really. At this point, we've become so defensive of our particular stance on any given subject that there's no room for conversation.
Yeah. Or even like being easily offended, like how he's saying, you know, there's always room for a conversation there. And so how I'm responding to someone, if I'm actually getting so heated about a certain topic, I'm not saying the topic it's a bad thing, because like say you have maybe you're just heated about domestic violence. Yeah. That really, really gets you upset. You get angry.
As it should.
This is something that is an issue. It's a big deal.
Right.
And when you approach that, knowing that you are approaching that because you're growing through it, you're maturing through how you respond to people. Your goal is more to understand and to communicate clearly your stance on that. And to hear out other people and where they're at should be the goal, rather than to get so angry that you need something to shoot at.
Right.
This is where the issue comes. And so everyone's kind of like targeting each other and fighting against each other. And yeah, it might be true. There might be something that's going to shake up America again. We don't know. We never know what's right around the corner.
Well, and what's crazy is we're looking back 17 years ago, 9/11, 2001. And for me, within that montage, one moment that sticks out more than most is Elvis Duran. If you don't know who that is, he's a morning show host. I think he's in Miami now. At the time, he was in New York City doing the morning show for Z100. All right, and
he's a radio legend.
Like we know what this is like. It being on the radio, and all of a sudden there's a school shooting, or there's this crazy event, and it's like we have to cover this, and they're in New York, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, the tower's on fire, and nobody knows what's happening, because at first it was like this tragic plane accident and nobody knew. And then when the second one hit, it's like, oh my gosh, this is an attack. And it changed everything. But until that time, they were just kind of like, oh, we'll get more information to you as soon as we have it. Unfortunately, we have to report on this. And it's like, you're in the middle of a thing. And you know, like this morning, we're talking so heavy. And in the midst of that, we have a friend right down the street at In Bloom, this flower shop. Within that, there's this place called the Albuquerque Candy Company. They hand make chocolate. Nothing's pre-made. And she wanted to do something sweet this morning and bring us chocolate from the Albuquerque Candy Company. And it's like, yeah, this is sweet. This is cool. And then next thing you know, like, everything's different. Everything's changing. This guy was doing his morning show. They probably had everything planned out. Everything's like, and then everything changes. And it's that reminder that, like, man,
things can change in a minute.
Everything can change. Everything can change.
And if we were to go to, like, if say that were to happen, or some kind of attack were to happen again, like, I wonder how we'd respond now.
Right.
I wonder after 17 years later if we would go back to our roots, because a lot of the times people they do what they know.
Yeah.
So although they're trying to grow and change and be a little softer in their response and stop yelling at people and getting upset at people, you know, you do what you know oftentimes. And so if you're not regularly practicing that growth, that personal growth and your walk with God, then this is an issue. If you're not regularly in conversation with God, talking to him about what it is he wants to change in you and how it is that you're growing, when things like this happen, you're going to respond or react the way that you know. You're going to go to what you know. But what we should know is the change that's happened over time, is the peace that's happened over time. We need to be putting that out. So if something does happen again, God forbid, but in this world that we live in, you never can tell. And it doesn't have to be a massive thing that shakes up the entire United States of America. But look at, there's little things that are happening all over. And then we see one shooting at this school, one shooting at that school. All of a sudden, there's shootings all over the place. They're in all these churches. They're in all these schools. So everything is cracking down. But how are we responding is a big deal. And that just leads you into day-to-day life. I mean, last night I'm at Walmart, right? And these 3 ladies are wanting to convince me about all this stuff with what they believe in, and they're soliciting at the store, and no one knows they're around. The security guy is kind of jumping in on it too. I'm like, I can't call security because he's literally like in on this right now. And I'm just like, it was so frustrating, but I was trying to hold my tongue because I was getting irritated because it was late. I needed to get home. I didn't feel very well. And I was like, how am I responding? How am I showing them the love of Christ right now, even when I'm irritated? And so it was a test for me last night to still be able to show love, to still be able to connect with them on what I could connect with them on, and then move on. And that kind of is sort of, as we're practicing that, it's a good thing because as big things happen, naturally you will then begin to do that more often. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. And you know, I to answer your question too on how we would respond, I would hope, and I really do think that if it happened again, that we would be just as united as we were before. You know, that we would come together. I mean, I listen to that tribute and I'm like, sign me up. Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
How can I make a difference? You know, and we talk about today, instead of being so selfish, be selfless. You know, look for those opportunities today to go and serve and to be a part of the community and the city, because our city's in such bad shape right now, guys. What can we do to make a difference?
And even in a small way, this sweet woman who came by, she brought us chocolate.
I know.
That was so sweet.
Made our day.
Yeah, and she did something small today, but she didn't have a clue that we were having this crazy intense conversation.
Girl, did you have that fudge? That was not small. That was a big act.
Fudge is love. Fudge equals love.
I know, right? It's like half gone. I'm like, don't show me any more of those pignon fudge things.
So she brought these things. I would like to try. I just had a little cluster thing. It was a fudge. She called it like a fudge ball, or what is it?
Fudge bomb.
And it had these pignon.
Tam.
Yeah.
Take a bite.
Yeah. No, don't do that right now.
Just go ahead and take a bite.
I'm just gonna smell it.
Go ahead.
As you're talking about it, it's true. She literally this morning was like, "Hey, I want to do something sweet for these guys," and made
Facebook Live.
Oh my gosh, is that a chocolate covered marshmallow?
Look at that. Take a bite.
So shout out to the Albuquerque Candy Company, because that was her like kind gesture this morning.
Nice
Wanted to like
she said that her and her husband
chocolate.
started something, like they were just doing some stuff just together, and then she started teaching her husband certain things that she was loving to do. They ended up going in business together. Now they have a little business.
I know.
It's adorable.
Isn't that sweet.
I was going to bite it, but I'm going to rip it apart.
Sweet, get it?
It's so sweet.
Go ahead and take a bite, Tam.
But it is important that we
I'm
don't.
ripping
no
it apart.
adjectives. No adjectives. And I do think it's important, getting back to what you're saying, that we need to continue to try and do
small things.
Small things today. Like, instead of just sitting around in mourning, let's not forget when 9/11 happened, we didn't sit back. Everybody took action. Yeah, like, we did something about it. So what can we do today to impact change in our community and the people around us on our favorite morning show by bringing us chocolate, Albuquerque Candy Company?
You know,
I'm just saying.
Skip Heitzig, the senior pastor of Calvary Albuquerque, located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, he posted this thing on Instagram today, and he was actually there helping with the relief of things. And that, I bet, was an incredible thing. I'm going to try and interview him today if he's on campus.
Very cool.
Really?
I love that he's a part of your show so much.
Yeah, it's cool that you get all the good interviews.
He is fantastic.
You may have him, but look who we're bringing on the show.
Spirit-filled Jesus. You're bringing Spirit-filled... Jesus is... No, you're kidding me.
I'm not.
You're kidding me, right?
This is his new book, and we seriously have an interview with Mark Driscoll.
What time?
Did you hear that right, guys? Mark Driscoll going to be on the show, so get your questions ready.
He wrote a new book called Spirit-Filled Jesus and sent us an advanced copy of it and wants to talk to us about it. And we're like...
huge.
Okay. Yeah, we got questions for you, Mark Driscoll.
I got a few questions
Yeah.
for you, Mark.
Mars Hill, get your questions in.
Can't.
Oh, sorry.
Not yet. Save it for radio.
Where's Buck?
yeah,
we
No.
Can you bring Buck on?
No,
you could just basically just interview Buck, and then you'll be like you
I don't
interviewed
see
Mark
why we
Driscoll.
couldn't. You know, I mean,
No, I'm not.
Buck's part of the show.
Sorry, I don't know if you could hear me. I was eating a cluster.
Giant marshmallow in your mouth.
Man, white chocolate? Is that white? Is that coconut? Hold on.
Okay. I can't have any more. I already have the shakes. I've had so much fudge this morning.
Hey guys,
I have the shakes too, but this is delicious.
If you guys want to, share the podcast this morning, and we talked about, if you have children, you sit them down, watch YouTube videos. I know there's movies out there you can watch on 9/11, and just educate your kids. And this is a day that we remember. This is a day that we don't take off. It's not a holiday, but we go about our lives. And we live it to the fullest, man.
And something on that, Dex, I think that's a really good point. Talk to your kids about it.
Yeah,
yes.
Pass it down.
Like, I think that people stop. I mean, I've literally run into so many people who are between the ages of like maybe 10 and 15, 10 and 20.
Yeah.
That's only like a 5 to 10 year gap.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's like a group of like a 10-year time span in people's lives where they have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that definitely pushes the responsibility onto parents and to leaders. And if you're a teacher or whatever that you're doing, I think that's how you can give back to the community. I think that's how you can seriously make a change is by educating the people that you talk to.
Yep.
Because when you educate them on what's going on, they're going to be able to be a part of what's going on. Come on.
Amen.
No, but they're going to be able to help and learn
Love
and
it.
grow.
Preach it, Tim.
Teach.
I
want to learn about this coconut cluster.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Thank you, Tam, for coming in. 3 to 6. Tam,
Thanks for having me.
Taking you home this afternoon.
Yes, my breaks are a little shorter, but don't worry. Still plenty of quality. People have been asking about that.
They're
It's
nuggets.
quality, not quantity.
We're
They're
doing
nuggets.
we're doing nuggets
Quality,
now.
not quantity.
Wasn't my choice.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you want to dump that or?
Okay. All right, thanks guys for joining us. We'll upload Facebook and YouTube Live. You can go back and watch the show.
That white chocolate coconut. Though.
Oh my God!
No, I can't. I've had so much.
Guys,
Oh
we'll
my
see you
God.
tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Eat this.
No, get out of here.
That's all we got. There ain't no more. That's right. Time is tight. It's the end of the show.
A Star 88 Supernova with Greg Lloyd.
I'm not calling for unity at any cost because the most important thing is truth, but sometimes